In the magical kingdom of Fior, useless wizards make a living by selling and accepting magic quests. In this kingdom, there's a special town called Fairy Tale, known for producing many talented wizards. At the port town of Harjan, a train stands at the station. Happy, the wonderful pet of Natsu, tries to help him stand up. But Natsu's useless self looks like he saw my ex. Happy mentions that Salamander, the person they are looking for, must be in town. Moments later, the train leaves, taking Natsu with it. Lucy, a girl who is just wandering around, is currently in a magic shop where the owner tells her it's the only magic in town. She's there to find wizards but feels disappointed. The owner tries to sell her a magic item that changes your dress color based on your mood, but it costs 200,000 jewels. Lucy tries to charm the owner into lowering the price, but he only drops it to 1,000 jewels, telling her ass that she would never be that pretty. Happy and Natsu walk through the streets, thinking that Salamander might be Igneel, a fire dragon. Lucy sees a crowd and finds Salamander there, rushing over. Natsu interrupts and pulls Lucy out of the spell Salamander is using. Salamander offers Natsu an autograph, but Natsu declines, making the ladies around them angry. Salamander invites everyone to his boat party and leaves. Lucy takes Natsu and Happy to a nearby restaurant. She explains that Salamander was using a forbidden attraction spell to gather attention. She also mentions that she is a wizard looking to join a guild. A guild is an organization that helps wizards find work. Without joining one, wizards can't get jobs. She dreams of joining her favorite guild one day. Natsu and Happy reveal that they were looking for Salamander, but the person they saw wasn't the real one because Salamander is a true fire dragon. Lucy, confused about why a dragon would be in town, pays the bill and leaves. Natsu, feeling indebted to her, hands her the ugly-ass autograph to say thank you. While reading a journal on a bench, Lucy is approached by the fake Salamander. He claims to be part of Fairy Tale and offers to put in a good word for her if she keeps his spell a secret. She agrees and accepts his party invitation. Meanwhile, Natsu and Happy decide to crash the boat party to investigate the fake Salamander. However, at the thought of even getting on a boat, has Natsu thinking of the afterlife, but happens to overhear that Salamander is part of Fairy Tale. At the party, Salamander tries to charm Lucy again, but she catches on. She refuses to be his girl. Suddenly, men appear with many girls, claiming Salamander gave them to him. They tell Lucy she'll have to stay with them until they reach Bosco. Lucy tries to use her magic keys to defend herself, but the men capture the keys and throw them into the sea. Lucy is desperate when Natsu suddenly appears from the sky and attempts to save Lucy. However, when he got on the boat, he was just as useless as yourself. Happy grabs Lucy, but their transformation ends, and they both fall into the sea. Lucy finds her keys and summons Aquarius, a mermaid-shaped celestial spirit, that tells the annoying brat Lucy if her ass drops her keys again she will end her herself. She sweeps the boat onto the beach. Although she wasn't really aiming for the boat, she was aiming for Lucy, and the boat just happened to be there as well. She tells Lucy to leave her alone for a week as she is going on a trip with her boyfriend, something she can't relate to. On the beach, now that Natsu is off the boat, he is determined to stop the fake Salamander from tarnishing Fairy Tale's name. Happy reveals to Lucy that the fake Salamander is a wizard who was kicked out of his guild. The men, thinking that Natsu is a weak ordinary boy, charges at him. However, one of his crew recognize Natsu's tattoo and realize he's a real member of Fairy Tale, but the dumbasses charges at him anyways. The fake Salamander uses his fire spell, but Natsu mockingly eats his fire and takes him down with his final fire dragon fist. As the army is about to arrive, Natsu runs away, taking Lucy with him. He asks if she wants to join his guild. Lucy, delighted, agrees. And as they run, Natsu jokes, at least in Fairy Tale, the magic's real and so is the trouble. Also, if you have never heard the Fairy Tale opening, I suggest you go listen to that. Meanwhile, the Magic Council is discussing the recent boat incident involving Fairy Tale wizards. They acknowledge that while these wizards can be wild, they have great potential. Sounds like the time when my uncle once said that to me when I was younger. Till this day I still don't know what he meant. Meanwhile, Natsu, Lucy, and Happy arrive at the Fairy Tale Guild gates. When they enter the large hall, many wizards are surprised to see Natsu back, but it doesn't last long, considering everyone started Chris breezying each other right afterwards. You have Gray Fullbuster, a powerful wizard known for always stripping out of his clothes randomly. Kana Alberona, the girl who pretends to be ordinary but is a heavy drinker. Elfman, a muscle-brained wizard who solves everything with his fists, and Loke, the ultimate playboy, but always gets himself rejected by the end of the day, are also present. Lucy is happy to be in Fairy Tale, though she finds no one able to control the fight. Mary Jane, the only ordinary person here, who was featured in the Fairy Tale magazine, appears and asks Lucy if she is new. Suddenly, Mary Jane is knocked out into the fight. Finally, the guildmaster, Mr. Makarov, arrives and calms everyone down, and yes, even Natsu after literally putting him down. He asks Lucy if she is new and then lectures the guild about all the complaints he received, but tosses the BS out and advises them to find the magic that comes from the soul and to focus, not worrying about the council. In the cafeteria, Lucy gets the Fairy Tale stamp. Natsu looks at the job request board when Romeo enters, asking the master to find his father. The master tells Romeo to wait patiently as his father went on a job at Mount Jacob. Romeo, frustrated, slaps the dog out the master and leaves. Natsu, seeing this, decides to help Romeo find his father. I wonder if I can hire him to find mine as well. Some wizards mention that Natsu might hurt Mako's pride. Lucy asks what's going on, and Murajane explains that Natsu sees himself in Romeo. Natsu, raised by a dragon who taught him everything before disappearing, has been searching for that dragon, Dragneel, ever since. Natsu, Lucy, and Happy set out to find Romeo's father, Mako. Along the way, they face harsh cold weather, and Lucy uses her clock constellation spell to summon a giant clock for shelter. Inside the clock, she talks to Natsu, who explains that Mako came to subdue a Vulcan, a powerful monster. But Natsu only wondering, why did he even bring her ass if she can't even do cold weather? Suddenly, the Vulcan appears, takes the clock with Lucy inside, and retreats to its cave, thinking it has found a cute girl. The clock disappears due to its constellation time ending, and just as the Vulcan is about to attack Lucy, Natsu arrives to save her. Natsu demands to know where Mako is, and the Vulcan points in a direction before attacking Natsu. Lucy summons the Golden Bull, a powerful but perverted spirit,
Lucy-san, nice body.
and a fight ensues. After a long battle, the Vulcan defeats the bull but Natsu reappears, saved by Happy. Lucy asks why riding Happy doesn't make Natsu sick, and looks at her dumbfounded, considering Happy isn't a ride. Natsu fights the Vulcan again, who grabs the bull's axe and attacks. Lucy tries to dismiss the bull to make the axe disappear, but Natsu melts the axe with his body heat and eats some of the fire. He then attacks the Vulcan, finally knocking it into a mountain. They discover Mako, who they realized was being controlled by the Vulcan. Though injured, Mako wakes up when he hears Romeo's name. He feels ashamed for being taken over by the Vulcan, but Natsu convinces him to return to town. In town, kids are teasing Romeo, but when he sees his father, his joy is overwhelming. Mako proudly tells Romeo to ask the other kids if their fathers can defeat 19 beasts. Romeo thanks the gang for saving his father. Lucy reflects that even though the guild is a little bit chaotic, she has already fallen in love with this place and its people. Lucy wakes up in her room in Magnolia Town. If you pass Cardia Cathedral, you can see Fairy Tale, the only magic town, and Lucy has rented a house for 70,000 jewels. She has a stove, a kitchen, and a beautiful room. But then she spots Natsu and Happy in her house, upset that they entered without permission, and how the heck did they even get in the first place. She asks why they're there, replying that they only came to see how her new place looked. She offers them tea and asks them to leave, but instead, they ask about her celestial spirits. Lucy explains she has 6 spirits, 3 silver and 3 rare golden ones, Aquarius, the one with the attitude, a pervy bull, and a giant crab. Natsu and Happy get excited about the giant crab and ask her to show how she contracts a celestial spirit. Lucy takes out a key and summons a cute dog spirit. Well, not sure if that's really a dog, but you know, she names it Plu. Plu runs to Natsu, and they start making fun of Lucy. And Natsu, being the person he is, keeps getting Lucy's name mixed up with Luigi. Happy suggests they form a group since everyone in the guild teams up for the big jobs, and Natsu and Lucy agree. Natsu has already taken a job in Shiratsum town, where Duke Everlu, a perverted man, is looking for a blonde maid. Happy suggests sending Lucy as the maid, and she cries, realizing their plan. Levy mentions someone took the job of stealing a book, and Murajane says it's Natsu. The master says it's good Levy didn't take such a job, but the reward has increased to 2 million jewels. Gray, hearing the prize, gets interested too, and of course, with no pants on. On the way to Shiratsum town, Natsu's condition worsens due to the ride, and is also hungry. Lucy tells him to eat his own fire, but Natsu tells her it's like if you ate your own dog. It isn't really pleasing. Once there, he and Happy go to eat while she puts on her maid outfit. They meet KB Melon, who posted the job, telling them the reward is now 2 million jewels, but insists they must destroy the book called Daybreak at all costs. Natsu and Happy, being the slow wizards they are, attempt to divide the earnings, 1 million for Natsu, 1 million for Happy, and whatever is left for Lucy, which is nothing. After they leave, the man mentions that the book needs to be eradicated from this world, hinting at a deep secret within the book. Near the mansion, a giant maid asks Lucy what she's doing there, and she says she's an applicant. The maid calls her boss, who rejects Lucy, saying she's too ugly to be his maid. Honestly, if I was called uglier than those things, I'm quitting life right there and then. Well, she kinda did, considering Lucy went crying to them about the situation, and Natsu says it's time for Plan T, storming the mansion. The old man watches them from a magical globe as they enter the mansion and search every room. As they attempt to be ninjas instead of wizards, that doesn't go so well considering the ugly maids attack them in the hallway, but Natsu saves everyone. They find the library and start looking for the book. Among thousands of books, Natsu accidentally manages to find the right one. Before destroying it, Lucy takes it from him, excited because it's written by her favorite wizard. Lucy protects the book, and while they argue, the old creepy guy that looks like my uncle appears, furious that they're after the book. Lucy asks to keep it, but he refuses since she's too ugly to keep anything that he has. The old man summons wizards from a group named the Southern Wolves, and a fight breaks out as Lucy runs to read the rest of the book. However, the creepy man, realizing that the book contains a bigger secret than he realizes, tends to chase her. Meanwhile, the only thing Happy is wondering is how the heck does these floors even work, considering everyone just hopping through them like some mother freaking Mario. As Natsu fights the brothers, who insist they are fireproof, attempting to throw Natsu's fire back at him, only for him to eat his own fire, and goes overboard, blowing up half of the mansion. Meanwhile, as Lucy reads the book, discovering hidden secrets within it, the creepy guy comes from the wall and grabs her. After defeating all the attackers, Natsu goes off to find Lucy. Meanwhile, Lucy is struggling to free herself from my uncle, Everlu. He threatens to break her arms if she doesn't give up the book, but Lucy resists. Everlu applies more force, boasting that he hired a prestigious writer named Camus Zalon to write the book. He wanted the book to feature him as the main character, but points out it was just a sleazy book full of garbage. Suddenly, Happy appears to save Lucy but ends up floating in the sewage water. Everlu, who is also a wizard, uses his land burrowing magic to attack Lucy multiple times. Lucy insists that a good writer wouldn't create such a terrible book and he doesn't deserve to know the true story of the book. Everlu reveals he threatened to revoke Camus' family's citizenship, stopping them from doing any magic trades. Lucy then summons her crab spirit, a man with crab-like hands and scissors. She explains that Camus, an intellectual, was imprisoned for 3 years by Everlu, but he hid the truth in the book. Everlu, not bright enough to understand, missed the hidden secret. However, Happy, who wanted to see what the crab man did, was quickly disappointed since he said shrimp instead of crab, and said that his disappointing self can just go home already. Everlu summons a celestial spirit too, the same magic Lucy uses. On the spirit's shoulder, Lucy spots Natsu and is surprised he found them. Natsu explains he clung to the spirit's body and followed it. However, Lucy being a bit surprised since a human shouldn't be able to travel to the spirit world, even by a split second. Everlu orders his spirit to get rid of them, and a fight ensues. Natsu uses his fire dragon Rower, and Lucy captures Everlu. The crab strikes Everlu, and they all run out as the building collapses. They bring the book to Kabi, who asks why they didn't destroy it. Lucy realizes Kabi is Camus' son, but he still wants to destroy the book to preserve his father's pride. Natsu can't understand why Kabi wants to destroy his father's work. Kabi explains his father abandoned the family for 3 years to write this trash and then returned, declaring it garbage and quitting writing. He even cut his own hand to ensure he'd never write again. Kabi hated his father for years but eventually felt regret and wanted to destroy the book to make things right. Lucy reveals that Kabi misunderstood everything. His father's real name was Zekua Melon, and the book titled Dear Kabi was actually a letter to his son. Lucy removes a spell from the book, revealing it was the greatest book Zekua had written. Kabi decides not to destroy the book after learning the truth. Natsu declares they don't want the reward since they didn't complete the task, leaving Lucy upset. As they leave, Lucy grumbles about not getting the prize money. Natsu tells her they rented the house to appear rich, otherwise no one would have taken the case. Lucy asks how he knew. Natsu says they don't smell like the house, whatever that was supposed to mean. They eat some jungle food and follow a route provided by Happy but can't seem to find the right path. Tired, Lucy summons her constellation clock. And once again Natsu started to think, why did he even bring her? While searching the bushes, Natsu sees a bush moving, and literally said it's on sight, because he leaps into the bushes, only to find Gray there, who tells them that they need to hurry and get home because the greatest wizard, Erza, is returning. But on the other hand, why does he have no clothes on again? By just saying that name, they both get shook. Lucy is excited to meet Erza but asks what she looks like. The boys describe her as scary and strong enough to move mountains. Suddenly, a magic attack happens, and Happy is taken away. Down the hill, wizards tie up Happy and plan to eat him. Happy hilariously tells them he needs to pee or he'll taste bad. Natsu and the gang arrive and a wizard war starts. But Happy really wasn't kidding, he still needs to pee. After a lot of fighting, they capture the bad wizards and tie them around a tree. One wizard mutters a word, lullaby, and suddenly they're grounded. Before they can get any information out of the guy, he moved out too fast. But now Erza has arrived at her domain. As a man asks Mary to bring him a drink and then he asks her out on a date. Mary transforms into his wife and reminds him that he's already married. Happy mentions they're out of money and Lucy points out that they should have taken the 2 million jewels reward. Lucy heads to the job board to find potential work. The waitress tells her that the master is at a conference with all the guild masters. Mira Jane borrows a magic pen from Rietis that writes in the air and explains how the council works, including about dark wizards who don't belong to any organization and can't be controlled. While Mira Jane is explaining, Happy and Natsu show up, overhearing that they were talking about the dark wizards and hope they show themselves soon. Natsu tells Lucy to pick the quest this time, but Lucy thinks they only picked her because of her blonde hair, but Natsu assures her it's because she's nice. As Natsu and Gray get into it as usual, Locke attempts to flirt with Lucy, but once he notices she's a spirit user, he dips like my father. As the guild is about to get into another brawl, suddenly Erza enters the room, having everyone on their best behavior. She scolds everyone for their bad behavior as she heard about the guild's adventures on her journey. Her aura is so intense that all of a sudden even Fire Boy and Ice Boy are best friends. Erza then asks Natsu and Gray for help, and everyone agrees that if they team up, they'll be the strongest team in the guild. Although, Mira explains that Natsu, Gray, and Locke all have been Chris breezied by Erza a couple of times. At the train station, Natsu and Gray are fighting while Lucy is supposed to keep an eye on them. Happy asks why is her useless ass even here if she isn't even doing her task. Erza arrives with her giant luggage and all of a sudden they become best friends again. Erza talks to Lucy, praising her for defeating the giant gorilla monster and hope to get along. Natsu challenges Erza to a duel once they get back and now are heading to confront the Eisenwald Dark Guild, who plan to use a deadly spell called Lullaby and explains they must stop them. Our red-haired, being the polite person she is, offers Natsu a seat next to her since he has motion sickness, telling him to just relax as she literally knocks him out cold. On the way, they stop at a pub in Onibas, where Erza overhears people talking about Lullaby and a Dark Guild member named Erriger, known for taking assassination jobs. Lucy is scared, but Erza is determined to sabotage Erriger's plan and has asked Natsu and Gray for help. During a break, they stop to eat and Lucy asks Erza about her magic. She responds that Gray magic is prettier as he demonstrates his ice magic. Lucy, being the clueless person she is, finally figures that Natsu and Gray may not get along because they are fire and ice. When they reach the Onibas station, everyone gets off the train except Natsu due to them forgetting about him. A boy appears mocking Natsu, then attacks him with magic. But Erza pulls the train's emergency brake, causing a skull-shaped flute to drop from the boy's clothes. Although, Lucy realizes that every fairy tale wizard definitely has some problems. As Natsu attacks him, he hears a speaker saying the train will resume. He decides to dip out as Erza happens to pick him up in a magical vehicle that uses the person's magic to move. Natsu explains that some weird guy claiming to be from the Erriger Guild attacked him. Erza slaps the dog out of him for literally not capturing the guy she was talking about. But Natsu claims this is the first time he heard about them even going after the Erriger Guild. I mean, it could be because he was literally knocked out on the train by her, but you know. Natsu tells them about the flute, and Lucy explains that the lullaby is a deadly spell. Meanwhile, Erriger meets with his group and learns the secret of the flute. It was a normal magical flute until the great Zeref turned it into a deathly lullaby. At Clover, the conference building for the Masters League, Bob, the master of Blue Pegasus, is admiring some wizards. Despite being a man, he acts like a lady, which adds to his quirky charm. Meanwhile, the fairy tale master is bragging about Lucy, their newest recruit. Some wizards are concerned about new recruits, fearing that the fairy tale guild might eventually cause significant destruction to the city. Suddenly, a message from Mira arrives, informing him that Natsu, Erza, and Gray have formed a team. The master gets worried, fearing his worst nightmares are coming true. He begs Mira to keep an eye on them until he returns. At Kanugi Station, some Dark Guild wizards have hijacked a train, and the citizens are in a panic, fearing the fast and dangerous wizards. Erza hears about this and is determined to stop them. Inside the train, Erriger scolds Kajama for letting a wizard see the lullaby flute and escape. Cage insists he's too big of a dumbass to know about the plan but suggests Ashibana Station as their next target. Erza, meanwhile, is speeding towards the station, determined to stop the dark wizards. Gray, riding with her, pleads for her to slow down. Erza can't afford to slow down because the lullaby flute is extremely dangerous if played in a crowd. Its sound could result in numerous casualties. However, at this rate, Natsu and Gray gonna fall victim before they even arrive. At Ashibana Station, the crowd has gathered, and the station master is trying to manage the chaos. Erza arrives, demanding an update, and stamps the master for not responding quickly. Gray, as usual, is without clothes. Inside the station, a small army has tried to fight the Dark Guild but is now lying defeated on the floor. Erza, Lucy, and the others face the numerous dark wizards. Erza is ready to take them all down. Lucy tries to wake Natsu, but he remains down. Cage sees Natsu and blames him for his earlier scolding. Erza confronts Erza about his plans, but he reveals he wants to broadcast the flute's deadly music over the speakers for revenge and power. Erza orders Cage to handle them while he vanishes. Cage attacks Lucy, but Natsu blocks him, while Erza tells Natsu and Gray to go after Erza. Rayul and Cage starts chasing after Natsu and Gray. Erza and Lucy take on the rest of the wizards. Erza uses her greatest magic, the Knight, transforming her outfit into a multitude of swords and defeating numerous enemies in one strike. The remaining wizards are astonished by Erza's skills, and even Lucy is perplexed by Erza's rapid requipping. Happy explains to her that Erza can summon various magical swords stored in different pockets of space, similar to her celestial magic. Lucy then summons her crab spirit and fights alongside it, defeating many wizards by shaving their heads and destroying their weapons. Erza instructs Lucy to pursue the last wizard who escaped. As Lucy departs, Erza falls to her knees from exhaustion. Natsu and Gray argue about fighting the enemy on their own. Natsu heads one way while Gray figures out the plan and goes to the broadcasting studio, only to be ambushed by a dark wizard. A fight ensues. Erza goes to the roof and urges people to evacuate the city, warning them of the dark wizards. Erza reveals he has created a storm outside the city to trap them, aiming to capture and kill them if they try to leave. He reveals that the station was never his main target. Gray finally realizes that the real target is Clover Station, where all the guild masters are gathered. Natsu is running through the gallery when Cage plans to ambush him. At the station, many people are tied up, and the sound is trapped by a wall. Erza, injured, worries about everyone else. Gray arrives and tells her that Erza's real target is not the station but the Conference of Guild Masters. They decide to find Cage, who can dispel the Seal of Lullaby. One of the dark wizards summons Karaka to help Cage. Happy and Lucy are frightened of Erza's reaction when she discovers that they were unable to fulfill one of her orders. Meanwhile, Cage is hiding from Natsu, who is making holes in every wall he sees. Cage appears behind Natsu and punches him, sending him crashing into wooden boxes. As Natsu gets back on his feet, he has only one question in mind: the location of Erza. The fight between Cage and Natsu begins. Natsu continuously teases Cage by dodging his attacks, and Cage becomes frightened upon witnessing Natsu's monstrous strength after just one blow. After a fierce fight, Natsu finally captures Cage. Erza calms Natsu down, saying they need Cage. She scares Cage by pretending to strike him with a sword. Cage agrees to help, but then Karaka appears and knocks Cage out. Natsu, furious, tries to wake Cage up. Erza plans to take revenge on the guild masters at Clover. Erza is still trying to help Cage while Natsu attempts to break the barrier, failing each time. No magic seems to work. Suddenly, Natsu glanced at Lucy, who caught him as he was pushed back from the barrier, and suggests using celestial spirits to pass through the barrier. Lucy warns that it's dangerous. A normal person would suffocate to death, and allowing an ordinary human to enter the spirit realm also breaches celestial contracts. They also need a celestial spirit outside the barrier. Happy remembers something and pulls out Virgo's key. Lucy scolds him for stealing, but Happy explains it was Virgo's desire to form a contract with Lucy because her previous contract was breached. Lucy summons Virgo. Initially, Lucy refused to perform any summoning, but when Happy mentioned that Virgo could dig through the ground, Lucy's expression changed from fearful to charming as she summoned Virgo, who appears as a sweet and slim maid, surprising everyone. Virgo can change her shape according to her master's wishes and calls Lucy Princess. Virgo helps them get out of the storm barrier, but Cage says it's too late and they can't stop him now. Meanwhile, Happy and Natsu are on their way at max speed to intercept Erza. Natsu and Happy are able to stop Erza. Gray and Lucy carry Cage in a vehicle driven by Erza, who is on verge of fainting. Cage asks why they are helping him, stating that Erza wouldn't help them. Gray responds that some things are more important than life and death. Erza drives the vehicle at top speed. Natsu attacks, but many attempts fail. Erza throws Natsu down the track, but Natsu recalls his training, focusing his power to fly back up. Erza is shocked to see him return. Erza is equally bewildered by the potential of a fairy tale wizard, as what Natsu accomplishes is beyond belief. They fight again, and Natsu uses his power in new ways, surprising Erza. But Erza, a skilled wizard, protects himself and tells Natsu that fire cannot work against the wind. Natsu is confused and frustrated, realizing he needs a new strategy to defeat Erza. Lucy's voice echoes in his mind, reminding him of the strength of their friendship and teamwork. With renewed determination, Natsu digs deep and finds a way to counter Erza's wind magic, leading to an epic showdown. The battle is intense, with Natsu using every ounce of his power and creativity. In the end, Natsu manages to turn the tide, showcasing the true power of fairy tales, spirit, and unity. Fjord is a magical kingdom where wizards earn their living by buying and selling magic. In this kingdom, there's a special town called Fairy Tale, known for producing many powerful wizards. Many years ago, a dark wizard named Zeref created a flute called Lullaby. Anyone who hears its tune has their soul taken. There have been many battles over this flute, but now the conflict is reaching its climax. On the tracks, Natsu is still fighting Erza, who is very strong. Natsu tries to break through Erza's protective barrier but fails. Erza is astonished to see Natsu still in one piece after landing a powerful wind attack on him. Fed up with the lullaby nonsense, Natsu stands up, determined to put an end to this. He pauses for a moment to gather his thoughts and then focuses all his magic to create a more powerful fire spell, setting nearby mountains ablaze. He uses the wind from Erza's barrier to fuel his fire. Erza is shocked by Natsu's fierce fighting. The fact that Natsu's emotions are manifesting physically is evident. Happy took a moment to tease Natsu, suggesting he give up and let Gray handle Erza. This remark infuriated Natsu even more. After a tough battle, Natsu finally lands a hit on Erza. When he wins, even Natsu is surprised by his victory. Gray, Lucy, and Erza arrive and praise Natsu for the amazing fight. But Cage seizes the lullaby flute and escapes on a vehicle. The fairy tale wizards are left stunned. Near Clover City, army troops have arrived to protect the masters. Cage, determined to play the flute, hides behind a tree and spots Makarov reading a journal. Makarov asks why he's there. As Makarov leaves, Cage asks him to listen to his flute. Makarov notices the strange flute but stays. Cage is about to play but remembers how the fairy tale wizards treated him kindly, unlike his own group. Lucy, Gray, Erza, and Happy watch from afar when a huge master named Bob arrives, hugging and annoying them. Bob captures the boys while the other masters watch from a distance. Cage, about to play the flute, hesitates and drops it. Makarov talks to him, making Cage realizes his mistake. Cage then drops the flute. Erza runs to Makarov and hugs him. Everyone was expecting a happy ending. But the happiness is short-lived as the lullaby monster emerges from the flute, attacking everything in sight. Erza orders Natsu and Gray to take everyone to safety, but the army was infiltrated by monsters. One attacked the three amazing wizards. Natsu, Gray, and Erza team up to fight the monster. The three of them unleash their most powerful attacks on the monster. They create several holes in it, weakening its soul-stealing tune. The monster, frustrated, attacks humans again. Gray creates an ice barrier while Natsu uses his fireballs to fight the monster. In the end, they defeat the monster and its soul disperses as sparkling dust. However, the conference hall and some mountains are also swept away. Well, Natsu says, "Guess we really brought the house down." Everyone laughs, relieved that the battle is over despite the destruction. Biska and Elzak both are fairy tale wizards and are following some footprints. They figure out that the prints are fresh and lead to Fairy Tale. They decide to return and report instead of following. On their way back, they meet Mira, who has a message from the council. They notice footprints and wonder about their origin. Biska wants to follow the footprints, but Elzak, aware of the dangers of Clover Canyon, warns her that even the most experienced hunters struggle to find their way out of the canyon. Meanwhile, the Master, Natsu, Lucy, and Happy are following Happy's instincts, which lead them near Web Valley, a place created by a massive earthquake. It's said that anyone left there is never found. It's the first time Happy has gotten lost while trying to find the right way. Makarov and the others were starving when suddenly, Lucy spots a wingfish and mentions there's a reward for capturing these tasty fish. Everyone gets excited. After much struggle, they catch one wingfish, but Happy eats it all, leaving the others starving. Happy had expected the fish to be a legendary delicacy as described in the reward book, but it turned out to be the worst thing he had ever tasted in his entire life. Later, they find a village. They began chanting to find people nearby, but there was no one around. Instead, there was plenty of warm meals. The guild members are starving, but Erza tells them to control their hunger, suspecting a trap. In the village, Lucy sees some mushrooms but doesn't like them. Happy advises her on which mushrooms to avoid. The master is about to eat some hot soup when Erza stops him. Natsu, thrilled by the mushrooms, eats them but is shocked when a mushroom sprouts from his head. Gray shows up with a mushroom on his head too, and they start making fun of each other. Then Happy eats a giant mushroom, and a mushroom sprouts from his head as well. They all run back to town, realizing something is wrong. Erza and the master investigate and see a line engraved in the ground. Suddenly, all the buildings start moving, revealing monsters. The master instructs Gray to refrain from attacking because there is something he wants to verify. He then orders everyone to move to higher ground. They understand the city is under a spell. Not just any common magic, but a live magic, a spell that turns objects into living beings. The villagers must have activated this forbidden spell, only to be consumed by the very monsters they created. Despite this, they decide to cook the monsters. Natsu uses his fire power to make a steamed monster dish. Gray makes a cold sherbet, and Erza, in her vicious blade avatar, slices the monster into fries. Happy struggles with a chair, failing to control it. However, none of the monster dishes taste good. They complain to the master about the distasteful food. Suddenly, the cooked monsters come back to life and start attacking them. They fight to protect themselves but notice the monsters are controlled by a circle spell. Once the spell lifts, they continue walking, with Happy flying. Erza expresses confusion over what the master did. At a distance, they discover the villagers who activated the forbidden spell. They learn that the villagers created the circle spell and took the form of monsters. The master scolds them to behave properly, ensuring the villagers won't repeat their actions. Erza questions the master about using dark magic to lift the spell, but he brushes off her concerns. Natsu, Gray, and Happy with mushrooms on their heads. Now that's a fairy tale worth telling. Erza quips, making everyone laugh despite the bizarre adventure they just had. In a secret room, all the wizards gathered to discuss recent events. They wanted to stop such massacres from happening again and decided to protect Zeref's magic. They were puzzled about how such powerful magic got stolen and worried that everyone would be blamed. They were also shocked by how the fairy tale wizards destroyed a whole guild. One wizard mentioned that the lullaby could have killed the masters as well, so they decided to thank the fairy tale wizards. Meanwhile, Lucy was at home writing a letter. She wrote about how terrified she was by the recent incident but felt relieved now that the bad guys were caught. She mentioned that Erza hadn't been captured yet and feared he might seek revenge on Fairy Tail. She assured herself that Fairy Tail had the strongest team to protect them and added a PS, asking not to tell her father anything. Just as she sealed the letter and planned to go to the market, Gray showed up, commenting on her nice place. Lucy hit him for breaking it again. Gray reminded her that Natsu had challenged Erza to a fight, and today was the day. Natsu stood in front of Erza with a cheering crowd. They had dueled before when Natsu was just a child, and Erza had thoroughly defeated him. However, things are different now as Natsu has grown and possesses monstrous strength. Erza re-equips her Flame Empress armor, which is strong against Natsu's fire power, preparing for a head-to-head battle with him. Meanwhile, Happy, being a loyal companion, decides to bet on Erza. Lucy noted that two members of the strongest team were about to fight. Gray, calling whoever told her that a complete dummy, made Mira smile shyly. When she started crying, Gray realized Mira had said it. A muscle man said Fairy Tail was full of powerful wizards, but a girl insisted Erza was the strongest female wizard. Another boy said they couldn't ignore Mistogen and Laxus. Mira, still crying, said she only complimented Gray, Erza, and Natsu for having the best chemistry. Gray predicted Erza would destroy Natsu. Erza, transforming into Flame Empress armor, remarked it had been years since their last fight. Natsu, undeterred, reminded her he was just a kid back then. The fight began, with Happy betting on Erza. In the middle of the fiery fight after Natsu and Erza exchanged multiple blows and were about to clash fists again, suddenly, a frog woman emissary from the National Council stopped them, announcing Erza's arrest for various crimes. Back at Fairy Tail the Guild, everyone is baffled by what transpired just a few minutes ago. One of their strongest wizards has been arrested by the council. Natsu was captured in a jar, trying to escape and rescue Erza while the other wizards waited, puzzled by the council's interference. Lucy suspected there was more to this situation. Inside the National Council, Erza, walking with the emissary, encountered Fernandez, who appeared as a projection. He warned her not to tell the authorities. He also told her that she is merely a scapegoat for the council to save themselves. They plan to blame Erza for the incident to protect the council. He warned her not to reveal anything that both she and Fernandez know, for the sake of both of them, as Fernandez disappeared. The emissary wondered how Erza knew so many important people. At the trial, Erza was accused of several crimes, including destroying 3 places. Back at Fairy Tail, Lucy said they must defend Erza before a verdict was reached. Suddenly, the master shattered the jar, allowing little Natsu to escape. As the smoke cleared, it was revealed that Macau had been inside the jar all along. Macau helped Natsu escape, and he was on his way to save Erza. Grump suggested that they should wait, as that was all they could do, and see how things unfolded. At the council, Natsu, disguised as Erza, started going rumble, trying to convince everyone he was the real Erza. The authorities, annoyed, sent both to a cell. Erza apologized for Natsu's behavior before being taken to the cell. In the cell, Erza was speechless at Natsu's antics, apologized, but Erza admitted she kind of liked it. Fernandez appeared, noting Natsu's presence, and both were freed because the arrest was symbolic. Back at Fairy Tale, Erza hit Natsu for abandoning their fight, sparking a debate about who was the greatest wizard. Laxus claimed he was the strongest from the second floor. Natsu tried to fly up to him, but Grump stopped him, saying he wasn't allowed on the second floor. Laxus was pleased. Suddenly, everyone felt sleepy and collapsed. Mistogen, a mysterious senior wizard, appeared, spoke to Grump, took a flyer, and vanished. When he left, everyone woke up. Lucy asked Mira about the second floor. Mira explained it was for S-class quests, which were very powerful and offered greater rewards. Later, Lucy found Gray and Happy in her room, exercising. They gifted her a pink dumbbell, which she declined. They revealed they planned to take an S-class quest to earn Grump's appreciation. Lucy was scared, especially when Happy confessed he stole the job flyer, which was about a cursed island called Galuna. She threw them out but then noticed the flyer offered a gate key as a reward. Excited, she ran after them to join the quest. Meanwhile, Mira informed Grump that an S-class job flyer was missing. Mira walks into the cafeteria and announces that one of the job request posters is missing. A wizard explains that a cat stole it. Gramps guesses that the cat is happy now because Natsu has taken the S-class quest. Mira is worried about Natsu and asks why the man didn't stop them. But the man seems more interested in getting Natsu punished. Gramps is very annoyed and asks the wizards to bring Natsu back. Gray stands up and promises to bring Natsu back no matter what. At the beach, Lucy says they need to take a boat to reach Galuna Island. But Natsu insists on swimming. They ask many boaters, but none agree to take them to the island. While arguing, Gray appears and says he won't let them go. Natsu grabs Gray and they all set sail towards Galuna Island. Along the way, a man named Bob tells them he used to live on the island but escaped because it was cursed. He shows them his hand, which looks like a monster's hand. After that, Bob disappears and a storm hits their boat. Despite the strong storm, they survive and reach the island. On the island, Lucy tells them there's a village and the chief, Mocha, posted the job. Gray decides to join them as he could let Natsu and Lucy defeat him to reach the second floor. And also, if they return without completing the job, Gramps will expel them. He also says it wouldn't be fun without them around, so he will help them. They reach the village with the gate closed. They began yelling outside the village gate to get someone's attention, and two of villagers arrives. The villagers asked for their identity, as they were not informed about the job being accepted, and requested to see their emblems. After confirming they're from Fairy Tale, the villagers took them inside and showed them their cursed bodies. The chief explained that the entire village is cursed, which is why half of their bodies have turned into animals, even the birds and animals. They consulted dozens of doctors, but none were able to determine that it was a contagious disease. Therefore, the villagers concluded it must be a curse. The curse started when the moonlight turned purple. Lucy sees the moon changing color, and as soon as it comes out from the clouds, the villagers turn into dangerous animals. The chief says most villagers return to their human forms in the morning, but some remain as mindless, dangerous beasts that can kill anyone. The wizards are shocked that the villagers want them to kill these beasts. The chief explains that if they don't, the beasts will kill the villagers. The chief revealed that the problem lies with the moon and that the only way Fairy Tale can help them is by destroying the village. Natsu, Lucy, and Gray were shocked upon hearing the chief's peculiar request. Lucy asks if there's another option. The chief replies that their only other option is to destroy the moon. Back in their room, the wizards ponder how to save the villagers from the curse. Natsu argues that they can't abandon the job as it would tarnish Fairy Tale's reputation. But Gray counters that destroying the moon is impossible. Sharing the room is uncomfortable for Lucy. In the morning, they walk through the jungle, with Lucy using her constellation clock for safety. As they search for a better solution than destroying the moon, they suddenly encounter a huge monster blocking their path. They attack it, and a rat with a keen sense of smell tracks them. Gray creates an ice carpet, causing the rat to slip. Lucy notices a nearby building with various moon shapes engraved on the walls, realizing that the island was once called the Island of the Moon. Natsu repeatedly hits the floor, causing it to collapse. They fall into a dark place, and even Happy can't fly them back up. Their only option is to explore the cave. Gray and Lucy are furious at Natsu for acting impulsively without considering the consequences. Moments later, they find a magnificent diamond-shaped structure protecting Deliora. Gray is shocked beyond belief and recognizes it and tells them Deliora is the monster of destruction and death. They hide behind a rock when they see two people, Yuka and Toby, approaching. Sherry joins them, saying someone has beaten up Angelica. The wizards dodge the intruders and go in the opposite direction. Gray explains that Deliora ravaged a city named Isfan and has been trapped in an iceberg ever since. He warns that it's dangerous for these people to have found Deliora, and they need to handle it to protect Fairy Tale's reputation. Gray, Natsu, Lucy, and Happy stand before a giant, diamond-like ice shell containing a monster named Deliora, transported from the northern continent. Gray explains that his master captured this monster. Lucy suggests that the island's curse might be due to Deliora, and Gray agrees, noting that the monster in the ice shell is still alive. Natsu, with his usual bravado, declares he will defeat the monster with his fire fist, but Gray smacks him and tells him to stand back. Lucy and Happy are surprised by Gray's seriousness, but he insists that no one should free this monster because no one in the world can defeat it. He explains that the ice is unmelting and no fire spell can melt it. Lucy guesses that some people must be trying to melt the ice. Natsu wants to go after those people, but Gray prefers to wait. Natsu protests but falls asleep immediately, while Gray recalls his childhood training with his elder sister. Gray, Lucy, Natsu, and Happy wait near Deliora. Gray insists on waiting until the moonlight shines on the monster. Lucy points out it's daytime, but Gray remains firm, recalling his master and her teachings, and remembering how he struggled as a kid to keep up with her lessons. Had asked him to reconsider his decision, but Gray was stubborn. As they wait, Lucy summons one of her celestial spirits, Lyra. Lyra playfully complains that Lucy never calls her, though she wants to help more often. Lucy reminds her she can only be summoned 3 days a month. Lyra offers to sing to pass the time. Happy mentions that Mira also sings fish songs for him, making everyone laugh. Lyra sings, and Gray reminisces about how helped him harness his powers. When night falls, a magic circle appears on top of Deliora, shining purple moonlight over it. Gray suggests they go up to see the source. They discover a circle-shaped structure capturing the moonlight. Outside, they see some people dressed in cult-like robes focusing the moonlight on Deliora to melt the ice. Lyra explains that moonlight can melt any magic spell. As they conceal themselves, someone enters with Sherry and other demons, Lion, the Cold Emperor. Sherry informs him of intruders in the cave, but they flee before being apprehended. Lion dismisses the intruders as insignificant and shows concern about the inhabitants on the periphery, urging that they be destroyed. Gray recognizes Lion's voice. Suddenly, Natsu spits a huge fireball and declares himself the intruder. He's about to be attacked when Gray joins the fight, using the same magic as Lion. Lion and Gray counter each other's magic spells, canceling their attacks. Natsu interferes but gets frozen in ice. Happy flies away with Lucy, who asks why he didn't help Natsu. Happy explains they would have been frozen too. They decide to save the villagers. Meanwhile, Lion talks to Gray about why he's so keen on protecting her legacy, even though he's no longer her student and partly responsible for her death. Natsu struggles to break free from the ice. Gray hits Natsu, sending him rolling into the jungle, and runs toward town. Lion comments that Gray hasn't changed. Gray confronts Lion about her and how he could do something so terrible, but Lion doesn't understand. They engage in a fierce battle, with Lion fighting one-handed. They trade multiple spells. Lion reveals he wants to surpass her and saw his chance when Gray arrived. Now, by waking Deliora, he hopes to fulfill his wish. Lion says Gray ignored their warnings back then, so he has no right to criticize now. Outside the island, a pirate ship approaches, but the pirates on board have already been defeated by a knight who is none other than Erza. With all this chaos, it's clear the fairy tale wizards have their hands full. And who knew moonlight was such a powerful magic spell melter? It's like discovering your nightlight is secretly a superhero. Gray lies on the ground, reflecting on his past training with his master on an icy floor. Natsu stands over him and mentions he returned to check the village's route. When Gray asks about Lion, Natsu informs him that everyone has left and the ceremony is over. He then lifts Gray and carries him. Gray recalls how stopped him from fighting Deliora because he lacked the necessary power, and now he had stopped Natsu from taking the S-Class quest. Gray admits he's in no position to judge Natsu, but Natsu encourages him not to give up because he's a fairy tale wizard. With that, they head back to the village. In the village, Lucy tells the villagers that the attackers are responsible for their transformation, and that they need to defeat them. The villagers are confused about why the moon hasn't been destroyed yet, thinking it's the key to returning to their original forms. The village chief, growing impatient, demands to know why the moon hasn't been destroyed. Lucy gets an idea and summons Virgo, stunning the villagers with her beauty. Lucy asks Virgo to make some arrangements, and Virgo digs a pit near the village entrance, saying the enemy will fall into it. Happy thinks the plan is too obvious, and even the villagers and Virgo agree, calling Lucy's plan a failure. As the enemy approaches, a villager announces their arrival. Lucy asks them to open the gate. When they do, they see Natsu running towards them, carrying Gray. Despite their attempts to stop him, Natsu doesn't listen and falls into the pit along with Gray. The ice shield on Natsu breaks, and he realizes the ice magic weakened because the caster was far away. Natsu and Gray are taken out of the pit. Lucy is puzzled as to why the enemy wizards haven't reached the town yet. Suddenly, they see some wizards flying in the sky on top of a giant rat, Angelica, carrying a huge bucket of poisonous jelly. They throw a small ball of jelly at Lucy, but Natsu saves her. The villagers are terrified, realizing that the enemy is going to dump the huge bucket of poison on them from the sky. As the monster pours the poisonous substance, it forms a huge balloon above the village. Natsu, without wasting any time, jumps in to protect the villagers with his fire magic. He tells the villagers to run to the center of the village and uses his fire magic to destroy all the poisonous balloons. The entire village, except the center, is destroyed. One drop of poisonous jelly falls on the village chief, who isn't under Natsu's flame, but Virgo saves him just in time. The wizards land and destroy Bobo's grave, angering the chief. He wants to punish them, but Natsu takes care of it. Gray wants to fight too, but Natsu prevents him. The battle begins as Sherry commands Angelica to attack. When Angelica flies over the pit, Lucy clings to her. Sherry asks who she is, and Lucy tickles Angelica, causing her to stop flapping her tail and laugh in midair, making her fall. Happy checks if Lucy is safe, as the monstrous rat might have crushed her. Natsu fights the other wizards, using his magic to land a powerful blow. Toby attacks Natsu with his poisonous jelly nails, but Natsu easily defeats him using brute strength, pushing through Toby's supposedly impenetrable magic. The other wizard falls for Natsu's trick, getting stabbed by his own poisonous nails. Both wizards are defeated by Natsu. Meanwhile, a man asks Lion why he didn't kill Gray. Lion says he doesn't like blood, but the man points out he was about to destroy a village full of people. Sherry is upset because Lucy interfered and hurt Angelica. Sherry attacks Lucy with her magic, but Lucy summons Taurus the bull. Sherry takes control of Taurus's brain, making him attack Lucy. Lucy tries to dodge, but Taurus finally captures her. Lucy asks Taurus to close the celestial gate, but he refuses, explaining that the gate can only be closed if both parties agree. After some effort, Lucy brings Taurus back to reality and they close the gate. Sherry is stunned by this turn of events. With all the chaos, it's clear the fairy tale wizards have more excitement than they anticipated. And who knew moonlight and jelly could cause so much trouble? It's like discovering your favorite snack is actually a ticking time bomb. Sherry says that a forced gate closure is exactly what she'd expect from fairy tale wizards. Lucy is fighting Sherry, but Sherry can't understand how Lucy is strong enough to counter her magic. Lucy then summons Nicola, a weak celestial spirit, knowing Sherry will control him. Sherry orders Plu to attack Lucy, but since Plu is so weak, he can't harm her. Lucy then grabs her whip and starts hitting Sherry. In response, Sherry summons stone monsters to fight Lucy. Terrified, Lucy runs for her life with the stone monsters chasing her. She eventually falls off a cliff but keeps running towards the sea, realizing she's cornered. With the stone monsters closing in, Lucy thinks about summoning Aquarius, despite Aquarius's selfish nature. She calls Aquarius, who appears angrily, complaining about Lucy being annoying and not having a boyfriend.
Emotional damage!
Sherry tries to control Aquarius, but Aquarius, annoyed by Sherry's orders, unleashes a huge wave of water, hitting both Lucy and Sherry. Sherry is defeated because Aquarius doesn't differentiate between friend and foe. Sherry and Lucy continues their fight with clumsy blows. Sherry falls on the ground. Confusing about her defeat, suddenly Angelica appears, ready to attack Lucy, but Erza arrives and slices Angelica. Lucy thanks Erza for saving her and explains the dire situation in the village. However, Erza is not interested. Gray wakes up in a strange tent where a girl tells him they are safe from the village. He asks where Natsu and Lucy are, and she directs him to a big tent. Inside, he finds Lucy and Happy tied to poles, with Erza standing there. Erza asks Gray why he didn't bring them back and why he was helping them. Gray explains that the villagers are in big trouble and he intends to help them. Erza insists she's not interested and demands they return at once. Gray refuses and says he's chosen his own path. Erza, though confused, decides to join them but warns they'll be punished when this job is over. Meanwhile, the higher authorities question why Deliora's revival isn't complete. They worry about the interference from fairy tale wizards. Zalti assures them it will be done by night. Lion arrives, boasting that he's much stronger than any fairy tale wizard and even surpasses As they discuss, the ruins start shaking. Zalti thinks it's an earthquake, but it's Natsu, who has tilted the building so the moonlight won't hit Deliora. Lion begins fighting Natsu, who dodges his attacks. The high priest attempting to summon Deliora melted the ground below, causing Natsu to fall through. Lion took this personally, interpreting it as the priests considering him weak compared to Natsu. In response, Lion showcased his power by freezing the entire room. Meanwhile, Natsu managed to climb back up to the ground. Natsu asks why Lion is so obsessed with defeating her and why he doesn't fight her directly. Lion tells him is dead. Meanwhile, Gray and the others walk through the jungle, and Gray reveals that is actually alive. It's like a fairy tale reunion with a twist. Who knew you could have so much drama, magic, and a splash of humor all in one go? The only thing missing is a dance-off to solve their problems. Moving forward, many years ago, and Lion were passing through a town that had been completely destroyed. Mentioned that she had heard of the destruction but didn't imagine it would be this bad. They found a survivor, Gray, and took him in. Gray was full of anguish, determined to defeat Deliora and avenge his parents. In the training grounds, Lion, and Gray trained tirelessly. Taught them everything and took care of them as her own. One day, while shopping, the shopkeeper admired the boys and suggested focus on her happiness too, noting that no man would be interested in her with children around her. However, was wholly dedicated to the boys. Lion observed that had taken Gray in because of his inner darkness and knew he was consumed with defeating Deliora. Gray was waiting to gain enough power to leave her and confront Deliora. On the way back home, Gray urged her to teach him powerful magic, but she reminded him that she had already taught him creation magic. Gray didn't see its strength, but explained that creation magic is a magic of freedom, capable of being as powerful as its user desires. One day, Gray heard from some hunters that Deliora was in Brago and decided to go there. Despite Lion and efforts to stop him, he went anyway. In the present day, Gray narrates this story to Happy, Lucy, and Erza. They reach the ruins and notice they are tilted, knowing it was Natsu's doing. Lucy is amazed at how Natsu's destructive abilities can be useful. Suddenly, Lucy, Gray, Happy, and Erza are attacked by Ryutai's minions. Erza decides to handle the minions herself and asks Gray to move forward and finish things with Lion. Gray explains that when he went to fight Deliora, and Lion came to save him. Lion was unconscious, and asked Gray to take him away so she could fight Deliora alone. Gray refused to leave without her and asked why she was helping him. Said a friend once advised her to seek her own happiness, but she had found it with the boys. She encouraged Gray to see the world. When Lion regained consciousness, he insisted on fighting the monster. Told him to go west to find more powerful wizards, but Lion didn't believe her. He had learned a powerful spell called Ice Shell but didn't understand its consequences. Froze Lion to prevent him from using the spell and told Gray to take Lion and leave. She then cast Ice Shell, creating a barrier around the monster. She asked Gray to tell Lion that she had died, choosing to protect him and live on his ice. When Lion was freed, he was angry and sad, refusing to believe was dead. He blamed Gray, saying he killed her. In the present, Natsu encounters Lion and is about to fight him when Gray arrives. Gray asks Natsu to leave Lion to him. Natsu is shocked to see Gray ready to fight. Gray tells Lion he must take responsibility for Erza's death and protect what's left. He asks Lion to return the villagers to their original form and leave the town, using Ice Shell magic. He then says his final words to Natsu as the tension builds and the confrontation with Lion reaches its peak. Gray is about to perform the Ice Shell magic when Natsu punches him, stopping him in his tracks. Frustrated, Gray tells Natsu to stay out of it, but Natsu reminds him of the real issue at hand, making Gray reconsider. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking out of nowhere. Meanwhile, soldiers arrive to stop Lucy, Happy, and Erza, but Erza quickly deals with them. The ruined building untilts itself, and Natsu, furious at Zalti for ruining his hard work and ignoring him, chases the masked priests, leaving Gray to deal with Lion. Before leaving, Natsu tells Gray not to lose this time, as it would be a disgrace to fairy tale wizards. Gray confronts Lion, urging him to stop, but Lion refuses, confident that his allies will complete the task even if Gray defeats him. Gray then reveals that is still alive, having become the ice that Lion is trying to melt. Lion, recalling his childhood with attacks Gray, thinking it's a cheap trick from fairy tale, and dismisses the ice as mere remains of Lion admits he already knew this but still wants to melt the ice. Furious, Gray lands a punch that sends Lion flying into a wall. They agree to fight without using magic. Natsu faces Zalti, who uses forbidden magic to repair the walls Natsu damages. Zalti explains that his magic has severe consequences, which is why it was banned. As Gray fights Lion, he recalls his past fights with Natsu, remembering how Natsu never gave up, always standing up to fight again. Lucy realizes that the wizard's magic is weak despite their numbers. She summons her celestial spirit, Cancer, but Cancer is more interested in Erza and offers her flowers. Lucy scolds Cancer and demands he fight the enemy. Lion, exhausted from the fight, refuses to admit defeat and summons an ice make snow dragon, which hits Gray. Lion mentions that Zalti is performing the moon drip ceremony to revive Deliora. Meanwhile, Natsu fights Zalti bravely. Lucy and Erza have defeated their enemies, but an elder warns that they won't let them interrupt the ceremony. Erza realizes the enemies are from Brago and asks why they are doing this. The elder explains that Deliora has caused much destruction in their land. Natsu, confused by the moonlight, realizes that someone is performing the ceremony on the rooftop. Zalti mentions that the ceremony is slow with one person, but they've captured enough moonlight. The ice on Deliora is melting slowly, and Natsu decides to do something about the ceremony, but Zalti won't let him escape to stop it. Natsu continues to attack Zalti with fireballs, but Zalti warns that fire will only help melt Deliora. Natsu retorts that if fire could melt Deliora, they wouldn't have come this far, and he delivers a final blow to Zalti. Lion insists they can't stop the ceremony. Gray remembers Er's teachings and how his master at Fairy Tail told him there was no way to melt the ice shell without killing Er. He realizes the master must have been referring to Moonlight. Lion dismisses the idea, saying they are no longer Er's students and must melt Deliora. The boys continue to fight, using their magic against each other. Gray then sends an ice cannon out of the ruins, destroying it. Lion is finally defeated by Gray's ice cannon, and Gray remembers to heal the wound Lion gave him earlier. Suddenly, the building shakes and Deliora is revived. Gray realizes he has no choice but to use Ice Shell. Lucy, Erza, and Happy are paralyzed by a deafening and terrifying roar. They instantly know that Deliora has been freed. Erza declares that they need to stop the ceremony, so they rush outside. Meanwhile, Natsu is battling Zalti. He manages to break the crystal Zalti used, but it reassembles itself. Zalti explains he used Arc of Time magic to control time, sending the crystal into its future state to attack Natsu from multiple angles. Natsu struggles but soon realizes that Zalti's magic doesn't work on living beings. Zalti confirms this. Natsu asks why they're doing all this, and Zalti says it's all for Lion. But he also hints at the existence of magic that can control living beings. Natsu finally defeats Zalti with a powerful fire blast, sending him flying. Zalti lands in front of Erza, Happy, and Lucy, warning them that the ceremony is complete and the beast is released. The village chief insists he will never leave the island. Natsu reaches Gray and tells him they have no choice but to fight the monster. But Lion claims he will be the one to fight Deliora. Lion remembers how his parents admired and how he joined Er's training, feeling annoyed when took in Gray. Lion wanted to be Er's only pupil, but slapped him and explained that she didn't want a replacement for her missing daughter, she simply valued him as a great pupil. Gray attempts to freeze Deliora again with an ice shield, while Natsu prepares to attack. As Natsu hits Deliora, the monster's body starts to crumble. Suddenly, a wide crack appears and Deliora begins to shatter. The beast was already dead, having died while trapped in the ice shell. Over the years, its body had deteriorated. Lion cries, realizing his only chance to surpass is gone. Everyone is amazed by Er's wisdom, as she had become one with the sea and could now watch over her pupils from anywhere. Gray helps Lion to stand. Lucy and Natsu celebrate completing the S-Class quest, but Erza remains determined to punish them. She then reveals that the real S-Class quest was to destroy the moon to return the villagers to their true forms. Lion explains that he and his allies have been exposed to the moonlight for 3 years without being transformed, implying there's something more to the curse. Lion tells Gray that the villagers are hiding something. Erza instructs Natsu to find a way to lift the curse, and Gray invites Lion to join Fairy Tail. The village returns to its normal state. When they go to the village, they discover all the villagers have moved to tents, but no one is inside them. Suddenly, one of the villagers comes out and Natsu checks the tents, noticing that time seems to have been reversed, making him wonder if Zalti had a hand in it. The chief is at Bobo's grave when Lucy sees him. He stands and asks Lucy if they are going to destroy the moon or not. Erza starts questioning the villagers with basic questions, and while walking, she falls into a pitfall and comes back as if nothing happened. The chief finally speaks and tells Erza that Zalti was watching them from afar. Suddenly, Erza re-equips her armor and tells Natsu to help her in destroying the moon. With renewed determination, the team gears up for their next challenge. The secrets of the curse, the moon's power, and the true motives behind their mission make for an engaging and thrilling adventure, showcasing the strength and camaraderie of the Fairy Tail wizards. Erza and Natsu are ready to destroy the moon. Erza wants Natsu to give her a boost so she can reach the moon with her attack. Charged up with Natsu's flames, Erza hurls her spear into the sky. Lucy and Gray are completely confused. As the spear strikes, the sky shatters, revealing the moon's original color. Everyone is shocked. Erza explains that during the moon drip ceremony, gases formed a lens over the island, making the moon appear purple. However, the villagers remain in their demon forms. Erza clarifies that the villagers were demons all along. The moon drip ceremony gave them false memories of being human. Suddenly, Bobo appears, scaring everyone. He had regained his memory and decided to leave the village but didn't reveal the truth. The village chief rushes to Bobo, hugging him while crying. During their great feast, the chief wonders why they never interacted with the outside world and promises to do so in the future. Outside the village, Sherry, Toby, and their allies watch from a cliff, deciding to enter the village. Sherry asks Zalti to stay with Lion while they head to the village. The villagers are surprised to see them, but Erza steps up, ready to handle the situation. Sherry explains that although Lion is down, they will settle things now. Lucy fills Erza in on their unique fighting skills. Bobo insists it's their town and they shouldn't always rely on outsiders, but Erza swiftly takes them down with a single hit. Erza 1, Doubters 0. Sherry reveals they sought revenge on Deliora, who destroyed their town, and Lion was their only hope. Now, they are grateful to the fairy tale wizards. Natsu invites everyone to a meal and they feast together. Meanwhile, Zalti perches on a tree branch updating Fernandez. Fernandez asks why she restored the town, and Zalti, ever the mystery, says it was a kind gesture before revealing her true form. Happy informs Natsu that Sherry and the girl left because they couldn't eat anymore. Typical. The girl tells Gray his wound will scar, but he shrugs it off. As they prepare to leave, the villagers offer a reward. But Erza declines, saying the guild never officially took the job. The villagers insist on friendship, but Erza only accepts the keys. Lucy is thrilled with the keys, while the boys mourn their empty pockets. Bobo offers to take them back, but Erza has arranged a pirate ship. The pirates cheer for their big sis as they board. The villagers wave tearfully. Lion decides to join a guild, probably figuring it's better than sulking. At Ira, Zalti updates Fernandez on Deliora's demise. Fernandez mentions he respects her mother, but Zalti reveals her mother was magic obsessed, which is why her father left. Fernandez asks about fighting Natsu. Zalti acknowledges Natsu's strength and predicts he'll get even stronger. Fernandez notes Natsu is Igneal's son. Back at Fairy Tale, Lucy beams over her golden keys. Happy suggests selling them, but Lucy refuses, explaining there are only 12. She reveals the key summons a Sagittarius spirit. Erza reminds them of their punishment, and they all quake in their boots, imagining Gramps' wrath. At Fairy Tale, Lucy, Natsu, and Gray anxiously await their impending punishment. They're relieved to find out that Gramps is out for the moment, giving them a temporary reprieve. However, Erza, ever the party pooper, reminds them that their punishment is only delayed, not cancelled. Locke sees Lucy and teases her about being back, to which Lucy retorts she was with Gray and Natsu. The other wizards pity them, knowing the punishment awaits, leading Natsu and Gray to give Locke a friendly beating for his comments. Happy sulks because no one included him in the conversation. Eager for a distraction, they notice a job flyer to decipher a mysterious manuscript. Natsu, in his usual impulsive manner, reads the spell aloud. Suddenly, they all experience strange changes in their bodies. Lucy feels an unfamiliar weight and her voice changes. Gray starts feeling cold, and Erza freaks out because she now has a different body. Happy, surprisingly calm, figures out that their bodies have been swapped. Erza and Happy have switched bodies, as have Natsu and Locke, and Gray and Lucy. Gramps walks in, explaining that the manuscript contains an ancient changeling spell, which Natsu set in motion by reading aloud. The spell has swapped their personalities and magic powers, a classic changeling spell. He chuckles, saying he wanted to punish them, but this spell did the job for him. They have only 30 minutes to revert to their original forms, or the swap will be permanent. 14 minutes have already passed, leaving them just 16 minutes to fix it. Gray, now in Lucy's body, tries to strip out of habit, much to Lucy's horror. Erza, with Happy inside her, ends up in a cool new outfit instead of her usual armor, trying to catch fish with a fishing rod. The other wizards tease Locke, in Natsu's body, about his weakened abilities. Natsu, in Locke's body, runs around drooling fire. Happy, flying in Erza's body, enjoys the experience. Levy arrives, promising to save them by lifting the spell. She reads the book but doesn't understand it initially, causing everyone to panic as time runs out. With only 8 minutes left, Levy admits she still hasn't figured it out, sending everyone into a frenzy. They fear their magic will be weak forever, making them the weakest team in Fairy Tale. Just as they lose hope, Levy finally understands the spell. She explains that only one pair can be freed at a time, causing more chaos as everyone fights to go first. In the last 15 seconds, Levy chants the spell repeatedly, managing to return Lucy and Gray to their original forms. Lucy thanks Levy, but they quickly realize the other pairs are still swapped. To make matters worse, everyone else in Fairy Tale has also swapped bodies. Mira has swapped personalities with Gramps, leading to a hilarious and confusing situation. As the chaos continues, the guild members scramble to restore order, their antics making for a comical and unforgettable adventure. In the jungle, the Fairy Tale wizards are causing trouble once again. Happy is busy catching fresh fish while Natsu fries them with his fire, insisting that cooked fish is the best. Happy vehemently disagrees, claiming raw fish is superior. Natsu ends up eating all the fish, which infuriates Happy. Ever the drama queen, Happy starts complaining loudly, declaring that their friendship is over. Lucy arrives and scolds Natsu, telling him that no girl will like him if he keeps fighting. Instead of apologizing, Natsu just leaves, making Lucy think he's quite obnoxious. Lucy heads to the Fairy Tale archives and sees Mira placing some books on the shelves. She offers to help, and while organizing, Lucy complains about Natsu. Mira suggests that Lucy might actually like him despite his childish behavior. Hearing this, Lucy loses her balance and falls off the ladder along with her weakest celestial spirit, causing dozens of books to topple over. Suddenly, an old photo catches Lucy's attention. Mira tells Lucy that it's an old album with pictures of the fairy tale wizards. Lucy's eyes catch a picture of Natsu riding a dragon, and she asks who it is. Mira reveals that the dragon is actually Happy. Lucy is surprised and asks how Happy met Natsu. Mira explains that when they were young, Natsu and Gray always fought, and Erza had to keep them apart by punching them both on the head. This childhood trauma is why Natsu and Gray obey Erza's orders. Natsu is always fighting and often felt lonely. One day, while Natsu was punching a tree trunk with Gray and Erza's pictures on it, a big egg fell from the sky. Natsu brought the egg to Magnolia and showed it to everyone, declaring it was a dragon's egg that he would hatch. Gramps told him that the egg could only be hatched with love, which Natsu didn't fully understand but was determined to try. Erza suggested that hatching the egg would be a good lesson for Natsu, who was usually fond of destroying things. Mira and Erza ended up fighting, and Natsu vowed to one day beat both of them. Lysana entered and offered to help hatch the egg, explaining that they needed to keep it warm. Natsu tried to use his flames, but Gray stopped him. Lysana demonstrated by turning into a big bird and warming it gently. Elfman, feeling sad about not having the strength to turn into his animal soul properly and missing his lost pet parakeet, wished for an egg like Natsu's. In the jungle, Lysana and Natsu took care of the egg. When it started jumping, Lysana told Natsu the egg wanted him to hatch it. They built a stone home for the egg, but it quickly fell apart. Lysana then transformed into a big rabbit and created a comfortable home. Inside, she joked that they were like a husband and wife hatching the egg together. A mature wizard boy saw them and told the elder wizards about the egg, but no one believed him. Meanwhile, Lysana and Natsu were attacked by a big forest Vulcan who wanted the egg. Natsu fought the Vulcan, thinking it was his duty to protect his family. After getting beaten multiple times, Natsu finally understood how to defeat the Vulcan. After defeating the Vulcan, Natsu and Lysana shared a sweet moment, and Lysana asked him about food. Natsu admitted he didn't know how to cook, but Lysana assured him that Mira and Elfman could cook. Natsu, holding the egg, misunderstood Lysana's intentions and thought she wanted to cook it, making him angry. She reassured him she only wanted to help hatch it and thought he would make a good father. They talked until dawn, and the egg began to crack open in the sunlight. They fell asleep, and in the morning, the egg was gone. They searched frantically, accusing everyone, until Elfman revealed he had taken the egg to hatch it while they slept. When the egg hatched, a dragon cat with wings emerged, and Natsu named it Happy because it made everyone smile. Suddenly, Elfman's parakeet also returned, making him happy. Lucy wondered where Lysana was now and why she had left. Later, Lysana told Natsu he shouldn't fight because families shouldn't have conflicts. To make it up to Happy, Natsu brought him lots of fish, making Happy very happy. Suddenly, the master appeared and asked Mira for help. As Mira left, Lucy realized she had never seen Lysana and wondered who she was. Natsu caught multiple big fish to make up with Happy, bringing a sense of closure and camaraderie to the group. Lucy, Natsu, Gray, and Erza are returning to the guild, discussing their next job along the way. Lucy announces she's already chosen their next mission, making their discussion pointless. They insist they were asked for because their team is the strongest in the guild. As they approach the guild, townspeople look at them with concerned expressions, giving them a bad feeling. When they arrive, they see the guild has been completely demolished. Mira informs them that it was the Phantom Guild that attacked, hitting them hard. Inside, all the wizards are present, but Gramps seems more interested in how everyone is doing than the state of the guild. The first floor is now being used as a pub, where everyone is resting and drinking. The teams talk about how strong the Phantom Guild is, while the Master remains carefree since the Phantoms didn't do much damage to the already empty guild. Natsu vows not to rest until he avenges the guild. Gramps decides he will take on all jobs until the guild is rebuilt. Mira mentions that the council is lenient about conflicts between guilds. Later, Lucy heads home, only to find Natsu, Gray, and Erza waiting for her in her room. They explain that the Phantom Guild might know their addresses, so they should stick together. Erza adds that she couldn't leave Natsu and Gray alone, hence her presence. Lucy wonders why they chose her house. Erza then insists the boys should bathe, but they ignore her. She shocks everyone by saying she'll bathe with them if they don't listen. Lucy is stunned. Meanwhile, Levy walks with her teammates, who suggest she hang out with other girls. Levy insists she's fine with her team. The boys promise to protect her. Suddenly, someone attacks Levy. Back at Lucy's, Erza takes a bath while the boys hesitate. After her bath, Erza re-equips and changes clothes. She tells them about the long-standing issues between the Phantom Guild and Fairy Tail, mentioning their master, Jose, and a team called Element 4, including a dragon slayer named Blacksteel Gagiel. Lucy is surprised to hear this. Gagiel, causing trouble in his guild, boasts that Fairy Tail wizards are no competition. The destruction at Fairy Tail was his doing. Later, Erza, Lucy, Happy, and Natsu are horrified to find Levy, Jet, and Droy injured and pinned to a tree with the Phantom Guild symbol stamped on their bodies. At the hospital, the three wizards fight for their lives. Lucy recalls Levy's warmth and her interest in reading Lucy's novel. Droy and Jet had joked that reading someone's book is like reading their diary, but Levy didn't mind. At the Phantom Guild, wizards celebrate Gadgeel's attack on Fairy Tail. Suddenly, a body flies into their hall, and Natsu appears with the Fairy Tail wizards, starting a huge fight. The Fairy Tail wizards overpower the Phantom wizards. Above, a wizard observes the battle. Lucy, carrying groceries for Levy, encounters a strange woman who calls herself the Rain Woman, part of Element 4. Lucy is furious, blaming them for hurting Levy, but the Rain Woman captures her. In the Phantom Guild hall, Gramps heads upstairs to confront Jose, aiming to settle matters. Elza notices him going up, while the observing wizard descends to join the fight. Mira is taking care of Levy and the other wounded wizards while Lucy has been kidnapped. Meanwhile, the rest of the Fairy Tail wizards are battling the Phantom wizards. Fairy Tail is winning until Gadgeel attacks, showing incredible power that none can withstand. Elfman steps up and puts up a good fight, but Gadgeel retaliates fiercely, even hurting his own guild members. Elfman calls him out on it, but Gadgeel powers up and attacks differently. Natsu steps in to protect Elfman and sends Gadgeel flying, shocking the Phantom wizards. Elfman challenges Natsu to a real fight, and both of them exchange blows, with Gadgeel enjoying the brawl. Suddenly, the building shakes with the wrath of Gramps. With his superhuman strength, Gramps starts demolishing the building, breaking open the door to the central hall where Jose, the master of the Phantom Guild, is lounging on his throne. Everyone realizes that nobody can save them now. Gramps confronts Jose, demanding to know why he attacked their guild. Jose, ignoring him, boasts about his strength. Moments later, he reveals Lucy to Gramps and prepares to hurt her, but Gramps stops him. Then, a man named Arya appears behind Gramps and uses his powers to drain Gramps' magic, leaving him powerless. Suddenly, Gramps falls in front of the Fairy Tail wizards, drained of his energy. Jose appears above them, gloating about their imminent victory, claiming their trump card has drained the Master's energy. The Phantom Guild wizards start cornering the Fairy Tail wizards. Seeing Gramps' defeat, the Phantom wizards attack with full force. Elza orders a retreat, and although reluctant, the Fairy Tail wizards follow her command. Arya joins Gadgeel, who praises him for his help, revealing they've kidnapped Lucy. Natsu and Happy worry about her. As the Fairy Tail wizards retreat, Gray resists, but Elza convinces him to leave. A Phantom wizard tries to attack from behind, but Natsu captures him and takes him away. Meanwhile, Lucy is in a jail cell when someone comes to see her. She recalls how she was kidnapped. The man tells her she'll be moved to a suite if she behaves. Lucy asks why they're targeting her, and the man reveals it's because her father, a powerful tycoon, hired them. Lucy refuses to go back to her father. She asks to use the bathroom, and though skeptical, the man gives her a bucket. Lucy takes the opportunity to hit him in the groin and run, only to find herself thousands of feet above the ground. The man reveals the prison is in the air and she must come back or she'll fall. As she falls, Natsu comes running and catches her just in time. He asks if she's okay, and Lucy, tearfully, says she wants to be part of the guild. Natsu discovers that the building is the Phantom Guild's HQ and insists on attacking it, but Happy reminds him of Elza's orders. Suddenly, Lucy starts crying, telling Natsu that she still wants to be a Fairy Tail wizard. Natsu puts her on his shoulder and they head back to the guild. The evil man watches, declaring that Lucy has crossed the line and will face the consequences. The wizards take Gramps to their acquaintance, a healing wizard named Porlusica, who lives alone in the forest because she despises humans. She examines Gramps and tells them that a very strict magic has been performed on him, draining his own magic. She asks the wizards to leave, saying that sad faces shouldn't be around Gramps. Gramps warns her that if she doesn't use all her powers, she'll die. Meanwhile, the Fairy Tail wizards are busy planning ways to fight the Phantoms. Different strategies are discussed while Lucy sits in the corner, crying and blaming herself for the situation. She doesn't want to harm anyone and feels responsible for the damage caused by her father's actions. Despite this, she still wants to remain in the guild. Elfman reassures her that they will protect her. Mira and a drunk girl try to come up with a solution. The drunk girl laments that the Phantoms are after Lucy and will come back. Mira talks to Jose, pleading with him to stop, but he refuses. Mira is furious and can't believe Jose has betrayed them like this. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking. One of the Fairy Tail wizards yells and informs everyone to look outside. The townspeople are shocked to see a moving building approaching their city. Natsu and everyone are stunned to see the Phantom Guild's walking guild. Elza, while taking a bath, reflects on the situation and blames herself for everything. Just then, the walking phantom arrives, shocking everyone. They never expected an attack like this. Jose attacks, and Elza tries to protect everyone, but the attack is too powerful for her to handle. The adamantine armor of her suit is destroyed, and Elza is thrown away from the impact, fainting. Laxus demands Lucy, but the fairy tale wizards refuse to hand her over, declaring her one of their own. Lucy stands there, crying amidst the chaos. Jose smirks, confident in his victory with Makarov and Erza down. Jose's cannon, which can only fire every 15 minutes, is ready to shoot again. They help Erza stand up, and everyone prepares for the second attack. Lucy continues to blame herself, but Natsu decides to take down the cannon. Jose sends his ghost army towards them, and while the wizards fight the ghosts, Mira takes Lucy to hide her. Lucy wants to fight, but Mira insists on hiding her for safety and to care for the injured wizards. She tells Lucy that it's an honor for everyone to fight for her, then disguises herself as Lucy. On the battlefield, the ghost army drains the power from the fairy tale wizards. Wakaba is hit by a ghost and has his power sucked out. The two girls with guns try to hit the ghosts, but they regenerate every time. Loke senses something bad is about to happen. Natsu and Happy struggle with the cannon outside, unable to damage it. Happy suggests destroying it from the inside. They enter the cannon and find a guard who vows to stop them. Natsu and the guard fight, with the guard using magic that controls humans and makes Natsu hit himself. The guard introduces himself as Tadamaru, the fire manipulator wizard, and a member of the Element 4 team. Time is ticking as they fight. Finally, the timer ends and the cannon is ready to fire. While Natsu is battling the fire-wielding wizard, he quickly realizes that his fire attacks have no effect because the wizard can control all kinds of fire. Natsu tries different techniques, but the enemy sends a huge fireball towards him. Natsu eats it, but it burns his nose. Meanwhile, the cannon is almost ready to discharge with only a few minutes left. Natsu keeps trying to land a hit on the enemy, but the wizard dodges his attacks and pulls out a sword. In a fierce move, Natsu hits the enemy so that the sword gets stuck in the cannonball. The wizard keeps attacking, but Natsu gathers all his energy and finally lands a hit. The enemy dodges again, but Natsu's fire hits the sword, driving it into the cannonball and causing it to explode. Natsu grins, saying he was aiming for the cannon all along. The fairy tale wizards cheer as the cannon is destroyed. However, their celebration is short-lived because the building starts tilting. Jose has activated an evil plan, making the building show two red eyes with ghosts circling around it. The fairy tale wizards are worried. Gray and Elfman rush inside the building to help Natsu, deciding to split up to find the power source. Mira watches, remembering Lysana, and decides to move forward. She goes outside and declares she's ready to go with Jose, but he reveals he knew Lucy wasn't there from the start. Feeling powerless, Mira is captured by the Devil Building, which threatens her with the terrible fate of her friends. Inside the building, Elfman is running when one of the marbles comes to life. It's Saul from Element 4 who attacks Elfman. During the fight, Saul reveals he has read Elfman's memories and makes a sculpture of Lysana, Elfman's little sister. Saul taunts Elfman, saying Lysana is dead and buried, which distracts him. Saul reminds Elfman of a time when he lost control using full body takeover, hurting everyone. Elfman challenges Saul to fight him barehanded. Saul lands a powerful punch, sending Elfman flying outside, where he sees Mira captured. Saul accuses Mira of betrayal, threatening punishment. Mira urges Elfman to run, but Saul tries to break him by reminding him of painful memories. Elfman recalls sitting by a parakeet's grave, Lysana trying to comfort him, and him pushing her away. In another memory, Lysana is with Natsu and Happy while Elfman and Mira approach. Elfman boasts about taking an S-class job to defeat a monster called the Beast. Despite Mira inviting Natsu, Elfman insists on protecting his family alone. During the mission, Elfman loses control and the Beast takes over his body. Lysana tries to bring him back, but he hits her with a powerful punch. Later, Elfman cries at her grave, with Mira encouraging him to live for Lysana's sake. While Natsu is fighting a wizard who can control all kinds of fire, he realizes his flames are useless. He tries some new techniques, but the wizard hurls a massive fireball at him. Natsu eats it, but it burns his nose. Meanwhile, the enemy's cannon is almost ready to fire, and there's only a few minutes left. Natsu keeps trying to hit the wizard, but the wizard dodges every attack and pulls out a sword. In a clever move, Natsu smacks the wizard so hard that the sword gets stuck in the cannonball. The wizard keeps attacking, but Natsu gathers all his energy and finally lands a powerful blow. The wizard dodges again, but Natsu's fire hits the sword, driving it into the cannonball, causing it to explode, as he revealed that he was aiming for the cannon this whole time. However, their celebration is short-lived because the building starts tilting ominously. Jose has activated an evil plan, making the building sprout two red eyes with ghosts swirling around it. The fairy tale wizards are worried. Gray and Elfman rush inside the building to help Natsu, deciding to split up to find the power source. Mira watches, remembering Lysana, and decides to move forward. She steps outside and declares she's ready to face Jose, but he reveals he knew Lucy wasn't there from the start. Feeling powerless, Mira is captured by the devilish building, which threatens her with the terrible fate of her friends. Inside the building, Elfman is running when one of the marbles comes to life. It's Saul from Element 4 who attacks Elfman. During the fight, Saul reveals he has read Elfman's memories and creates a sculpture of Lysana, Elfman's little sister. Saul taunts Elfman, saying Lysana is dead and buried, which distracts him. Saul reminds Elfman of a time when he lost control using full body takeover, hurting everyone. Elfman challenges Saul to fight him barehanded. Saul lands a powerful punch, sending Elfman flying outside, where he sees Mira captured. Saul accuses Mira of betrayal, threatening her with punishment. Mira urges Elfman to run, but Saul tries to break him by reminding him of painful memories. Elfman recalls sitting by a parakeet's grave, Lysana trying to comfort him, and him pushing her away. In another memory, Lysana is with Natsu and Happy while Elfman and Mira approach. Elfman boasts about taking an S-class job to defeat a monster called the Beast. Despite Mira inviting Natsu, Elfman insists on protecting his family alone. During the mission, Elfman loses control and the Beast takes over his body. Lysana tries to bring him back, but he hits her with a powerful punch. Later, Elfman cries at her grave, with Mira encouraging him to live for Lysana's sake. Now, Elfman comes to his senses, determined, and uses the full body takeover of the Beast. "I'm not running anymore," he shouts, ready to face Saul and protect his friends. Lucy woke up in her bed, thinking everything was just a dream. But when she turned around, she saw Natsu doing push-ups while everyone else cheered him on. Shocked, she kicked someone nearby and then realized she was actually in a warehouse. Meanwhile, Elfman had transformed into his beast form, scaring Saul so much that he was trying to escape by licking Elfman's feet. But Elfman wasn't having any of it. He beat Saul to a pulp, even catching his soul like a fly and giving it another beating. Mira called out to Elfman, bringing him back to his senses, and he rushed to rescue her. Elfman apologized for being seen in his beast form, then returned to his human form and started crying like a baby. The fight wasn't over yet. Mira noticed that the spell around the guild was weakening because half of the Element 4 were already defeated. They just needed to take down the remaining two, Juvia and Arya, to stop the giant from casting the spell. Kana and the others continued to protect the guild, while Locke ran towards Lucy's location, feeling something bad was about to happen. Natsu was running inside the giant, dreaming about beating Jose and ending the mess, but Happy tried to remind him that Jose was as strong as Markov and would probably beat Natsu's butt red. But Natsu, being Natsu, thought he was the second strongest in the guild and kept charging forward. Happy's brain froze when he remembered that neither Erza nor the Master were around to help. Natsu tried to cheer him up, and Happy got a little hopeful. When Natsu entered a room, he came face to face with Arya, the strongest of the Element 4, who introduced himself while crying a waterfall. Natsu, unfazed, was ready to fight. Meanwhile, on top of the giant, Gray was ready to fight when Juvia, controlling water, made a dramatic entrance with an umbrella and rain. Gray was determined to protect his friends, and Juvia, smitten by his handsome looks, admitted defeat and turned to leave. Gray chased her, but she trapped him in a water bubble. Gray broke free, impressing Juvia. When he started taking off his shirt, she thought he was up to something dirty, not knowing it was just his habit. Gray's attacks passed through Juvia since her body was made of water, and she counterattacked, making him take the fight seriously. Juvia was shocked when Gray mentioned Lucy as his friend, thinking Lucy was his lover.
What?
Fueled by jealousy, her water attacks became more intense. Gray struggled but decided to take her down to focus on more important foes. Gray froze Juvia with her water attack, and when he ended his attack, he realized he was holding something soft. It was Juvia's orange. Both embarrassed and blushing, Juvia was smitten by Gray's abs and personality. She tried to confess her love, but Gray said something that reminded her of her traumatic childhood, making her attack again. A flashback showed Juvia being bullied and never finding the right person. Finally, they fought seriously, with Gray standing tall and saving Juvia from falling to her death. The spell was almost stopped, while Fairy Tail's members kept struggling against ghosts. Mira and Elfman arrived in front of Gray. Lucy, feeling sad and blaming herself for the trouble she caused the guild, was confronted by enemies trying to take her back. Meanwhile, Natsu was struggling against Arya, getting beaten up and frustrated because he couldn't land a hit. But knowing Natsu, he wasn't ready to give up yet. Elfman, Natsu, and Gray had defeated 3 of the Phantom's top wizards, slowing down the movement of the Iron Beast. Nira was worried about the last remaining wizard, Arya of the Sky, who was the most powerful. Makarov was sleeping soundly, while Natsu, despite taking a beating, was still standing. Natsu launched an attack, but Arya dodged it and used the same cheap trick he had used on Makarov. Erza appeared behind Natsu, casting a spell while crying his eyes out. Natsu was in torment when Erza suddenly showed up to save the day. Erza started daydreaming about taking both Natsu's and Erza's heads. Erza, furious about what Erza did to Makarov, was ready for a fight. Erza decided to get serious and removed his eye patches, revealing his true power. Mira explained Erza's strength to Gray and Elfman. As Erza cast his spell of death, Erza defied the odds and sliced through the tight airspace he created, scaring the crap out of him and cutting him down with her strongest attack. Natsu and Happy were shocked that it only took Erza one hit to defeat the strongest of the Element 4. The magic circle disappeared and the Iron Beast fell. The building started shaking and Erza collapsed. Locke was impressed by their victory when a huge explosion happened nearby. Rietis told Lucy to escape while he held back the Phantom Wizards, but he was no match for them. As Lucy tried to escape, Gadgil kicked her to the ground, calling the Fairy Tale Wizards pathetic. Locke saw Gadgil with the beaten Lucy and attacked him, but Gadgil analyzed Locke by his smell and mocked him. Locke fell through the roof and Gadgil left his minions to deal with him. Gadgil returned with a knocked out Lucy and landed another kick on her for kicking their master. Osei announced that the Phantom Guild had captured Lucy and were coming for the Fairy Tale Wizards. Locke blamed himself for being useless as more black demons appeared in the sky. Osei decided to take care of the Fairy Tale Wizards himself. Erza told Natsu to unleash his true strength before fading away. Natsu finally started heating up. Meanwhile, Makarov woke up, got ready for battle, and left. Elfman, Mira, and Gray arrived to see Erza knocked out and were shocked that she had defeated Erza. Suddenly, they felt the aura of death as Osei appeared. Osei praised the Fairy Tale Wizards for entertaining him more than he expected. Gray and Elfman were about to attack when Osei gave them a merciless beating. Erza switched to her armor and attacked Osei, but she was no match for him. Osei was impressed by Erza's endurance. Gadgil kept beating Lucy, not caring who she was. To him, Lucy was just a fairy tale scum. Gadgil's minions tried to stop him, but Gadgil was persistent. Lucy stood up, provoking Gadgil to beat her more. He landed another blow, but she kept laughing and mocking him, warning him about those coming after him if he killed her. As Gadgil was about to finish Lucy off, Natsu burst through the ground, unleashing his immense fire. Natsu tells Lucy to get back as the clash between the two dragon slayers begins. At first, Natsu dominates Gadgil, showing a level of intensity that Lucy and Happy have never seen before. After some trash talk, Natsu and Gadgil go head to head. But Natsu struggles with Gadgil's ability to transform his limbs into steel weapons. Gadgil turns his hand into a chainsaw and mocks Natsu for dodging like a toad. Gadgil then hardens his skin into pure steel and lands a hit on Natsu, pushing him back. He starts overpowering Natsu with his ability to nullify damage. When Natsu lands a punch, it backfires, hurting him instead. They both start firing their dragon-slaying spells, which are evenly matched. The resulting explosions injure Lucy and the other wizards, who curse both dragon slayers for their recklessness. Gadgil stands tall while Natsu is out of breath, the difference in their abilities becoming clear. No matter how hard Natsu hits, he can't pierce Gadgil's steel skin, while Gadgil can tear Natsu apart. Gadgil, full of himself, is surprised when cracks start appearing on his face from Natsu's fire. Natsu charges his body, and both are ready to kill each other. Meanwhile, the ghosts merge into a giant monster and start attacking the guild, unaffected by the wizard's attacks. Natsu and Gadgil launch each other into the sky, exchanging blows. Both are going toe-to-toe, with Natsu out of breath and Gadgil on his knees. Suddenly, Gadgil starts eating scrap iron from the guild to regain his strength. Natsu complains about cheating, and Lucy and Happy are shocked to see Gadgil eating iron. Happy explains that dragon slayers can recover their strength by eating their own element, but Natsu can't eat his own fire. Gadgil, fully energized, rains attacks on Natsu, beating him down. Lucy, without any keys, remembers the Sagittarius key she recently got and summons the Celestial Spirit, an archer in a horse costume. Disappointed, Lucy watches as Natsu gets beaten. Natsu is thrown to the edge, where he sees his guild being destroyed and his comrades in trouble. He remembers the first time he entered Fairy Tale, the moments he spent fighting Gray, and his childhood. Seeing the guild's flag tarnished, Natsu decides not to give up. He walks towards Gadgil and tries to attack but fails, getting thrown back. Happy, disappointed that Natsu can't eat fire, is surprised when the Sagittarius spirit pulls back an arrow and shoots it, causing a huge fire. Natsu eats the fire and recovers instantly. Gadgil attacks recklessly, but now it's Natsu's turn for revenge. He gives Gadgil the beating of his life, stopping his breath with his bare hands, shocking Gadgil. Gadgil murmurs that he can't lose to the likes of Fairy Tale scum. But Natsu stands victorious, determined to protect his guild and friends. Gadgil attacks Natsu, but Natsu's fists shatter Gadgil's iron skin. Natsu goes on a rampage, knocking Gadgil out of the guild and beheading the giant guild robot. Natsu also falls, but he's smiling, and Happy and Lucy are relieved and happy to see him victorious. The Phantom Wizards are shocked by the strong bond between Fairy Tail members. Meanwhile, Erza is struggling against Jose, who isn't even tired while Erza is out of breath. Mira, Gray, and Elfman are all knocked out. Jose is impressed by Elza's endurance, saying it would have been a better fight if she hadn't taken Jupiter's attack earlier. Jose knocks Erza down with a flick of his finger and explains why he didn't kill Makarov. He wants to destroy the guild and make Makarov watch it crumble when he wakes up, intending to make Makarov's death as painful as possible. Jose boasts about his wealth, fame, and power and his jealousy of Fairy Tail's popularity. Phantom and Fairy Tail were equally famous, but Jose couldn't stand Fairy Tail's rise. Erza can't land a hit on Jose, no matter how hard she tries. Jose ties her up with a magic spell and starts torturing her while spouting his hatred for Fairy Tail. Erza, despite the torment, smiles and mocks Jose for being a lowly insect with no intelligence. She lectures him on why Lucy is a member of Fairy Tail rather than just the daughter of the wealthy Heartfilia family. Jose begins absorbing Erza's soul with his spell, making her suffering even worse. Just as Erza is about to stab herself to end the pain, the evil aura vanishes, and Makarov makes a dramatic entrance. Makarov arrives to put an end to the nonsense. Seeing a worthy opponent, Jose decides to go all out, his eyes turning pitch black. Makarov prepares to attack for the sake of his guild. Poor Yusika, yelling like an old grump, realizes that Mistagen was behind Makarov's quick recovery. She is against guild fights but is shocked to learn that Mistagen toppled every phantom branch himself. Gray wakes up, sensing Makarov's warm magic. Makarov warns everyone to escape because he's about to go all out. Jose sees this as his chance to prove his superiority. The sky rumbles with thunder as the legendary wizards clash, creating a mini tsunami in the sea. But Makarov gradually overpowers Jose. Makarov is impressed by Jose's magic and tells him he could have been a great wizard if he hadn't chosen to use his magic for evil. Makarov gives Jose a chance to kneel and admit defeat. Both charge their spells, but Makarov's fairy law easily overpowers Jose's despair. The sky shines bright, making the ghosts disappear. Erza recognizes the spell as one that vanquishes darkness and evil. Jose, now old with white hair and a shaking body, is left defeated. As Makarov turns to leave, warning Jose, Arya appears to launch a sneak attack, but Makarov is prepared and knocks Arya down. Makarov has won the battle, and the Fairy Tail wizards celebrate their victory as Makarov addresses them for their efforts. Natsu was lying on his back when he started asking Gadgil where he learned dragon slaying magic because he had never seen any other dragon slayer besides himself. Gadgil tried to ignore Natsu, but when Natsu yelled at him, Gadgil finally answered. He revealed he learned from the steel dragon, Metallicana. Natsu then asked where the steel dragon was now, but Gadgil didn't know. Natsu kept pestering him until Gadgil's frustration boiled over, and he revealed that Metallicana had vanished without a trace one day. Natsu asked if Metallicana disappeared on July 7th 7 years ago, shocking Gadgil, who wondered if Natsu knew where Metallicana was. But Natsu only knew that Igneel, his dragon, disappeared on the same day. Natsu then told Gadgil he could leave if he wanted, not realizing he was in Gadgil's guild. After exchanging taunts, Natsu left the Phantom Guild. Meanwhile, Makarov was looking at the rubble of their guild when Lucy approached him. Makarov asked how she was doing after everything that had happened. Rietis, Levy, and other injured members arrived to support Lucy, who blamed herself for the destruction. Levy reassured her they could rebuild the guild. Comforted, Lucy began to cry, which made Natsu laugh. Makarov, reflecting on the past 48 hours, started worrying about the council's reaction, fearing they might face prison time for breaking the rules. As the guild began rebuilding, Natsu, Makarov, and others were taken by the council's rune knights for questioning. After a week of interrogation, things finally settled down, though they knew they were in for more trouble. Lucy wrote a letter to her mom, explaining everything, and was still recovering from the bruises she got from Gadgil. Natsu and Gray continued their usual fights until Erza stepped in and beat them up. While Makarov and Erza were serious about rebuilding the guild, the rest were mostly messing around. Gray unintentionally made Mira cry and was apologizing, while Juvia kept a close eye on him.
That's weird.
Natsu and Gray were hungry when a wave of water washed a lunchbox into their hands, which Juvia had prepared. Hearing compliments about her food made Juvia dream of Gray proposing to her. Locke appeared with Lucy's lost keys and asked Natsu and Gray to return them to her. Gray, Erza, and Natsu went to Lucy's house, but she wasn't home. Erza found a letter on her desk while Happy accidentally knocked over a box of unsent letters to Lucy's mother. They read the letters and realized she had gone home. Lucy remembered how her father used to scold her for minor things. Upon arriving home, she was greeted by the maids and dressed in a fine gown. She met her father, who hadn't changed. Lucy apologized for running away, but her father showed no remorse and revealed that if she hadn't returned, he would have used his money and power to destroy Fairy Tail. He wanted her to marry the son of the Jolene family as part of a business deal. But Lucy, no longer a little girl, stood up to her father, telling him how she felt before leaving for good. Her father was shocked when Lucy ripped the noble dress. She bid farewell to him and paid tribute to her mother's grave. Natsu, Gray, and Erza showed up, not giving her a moment's peace. As they headed back to the guild, Natsu and Gray mistook the garden for a city and were amazed at how wealthy Lucy's father was, even perplexing Erza. The old fart Makarov was sleeping during his trial and lied about it in front of the Fjord's branch of the National Council. As a result, Phantom Lord was disbanded, and he was stripped of his title of Saint Wizard. Makarov didn't expect that Fairy Tail would be found innocent. Nearly dead old farts Yajima and Makarov talked about the trial, and Makarov invited Yajima to visit his guild once it was repaired. Yajima agreed but demanded Makarov treat him to ramen with 20 slices of pork. Makarov protested, but when Yajima started listing other rules Fairy Tail broke, Makarov had no choice but to agree. Yajima warned Makarov not to be reckless since they weren't as powerful as they used to be. They reminisced about their good old days and discussed how some people wanted to disband Fairy Tail. Mira then announced that they were getting job requests at their newly rebuilt guild. Lucy asked Mira about Locke because he found her celestial keys. The celestial spirits were mad at Lucy for dropping the keys, and the thought of their punishment made her nervous. Gray offered to cool her down, which Lucy called casual sexual harassment, leading to more teasing from Happy and Natsu. Suddenly, a barrel of wine hit Natsu in the face, making him look even uglier. Erza had thrown it, gritting her teeth at Laxus, who was blaming Lucy, and the others for letting Phantom destroy their guild. The real ass was Laxus, who had refused to help his own guild. No one blamed him as Makarov forbade it. Erza was furious, but Natsu jumped at Laxus with a punch that missed since Laxus was too fast. Laxus declared he would kick every weakling out once he inherited the guild and make it the most powerful in the world. Lucy was confused about the inheritance, so Mira revealed that Laxus was Makarov's grandson. No one would be happy with Laxus as the next master, which was why Makarov kept refusing to retire. Erza suggested they form a team with Gray, Natsu, Happy, and Lucy to become Fairy Tail's strongest team. She already had a job lined up, defeating a magic cult in the town of Lupinas. Meanwhile, Makarov was thinking about retirement and his successor while drinking. Suddenly, Mira informed him that Erza's team had destroyed half the town during a quest, and the council demanded a written apology. This crushed Makarov's retirement plans. The next day, Lucy complained to Mira about her team's recklessness, which caused their reward to be taken away. Lucy worried about her rent, so Mira offered her a special job. Erza's team headed to Aniba's station for the job. They met the job giver, who was in a mess because the actors for a play had run away after a series of flops. The play was called off, but Erza decided they should do the job anyway. With only 1 week left until the performance, Erza started practicing while Happy managed the marketing. Makarov, Yajima, and other Fairy Tail wizards came to cheer them on, and even Phantom Guild members attended. The day of the performance arrived. The play started with a beautiful song, with Erza acting as the prince. She was so nervous she started shaking and forgetting her lines, accidentally unleashing weapons. Lucy summoned a celestial spirit for a brief rest, and Gray, acting as the antagonist, ran off when Erza unleashed 10 swords. Natsu appeared in a dragon costume but collapsed after Happy got tired. Natsu's fire burned Lucy's dress, and Erza removed it entirely, exposing Lucy's body. The audience cheered at the sight of Lucy's curves. The stage started crumbling, and the building fell apart. Despite the disaster, the audience loved the show, and it was a super hit. Exhausted, Lucy and the others wanted to go home after 3 days of continuous, tiresome performances. Erza's team had completely demolished the bandit hideouts, with Erza dominating the bandits. Seeing this, Lucy's celestial spirit started fantasizing about being dominated by Erza. The bandits lay around like cockroaches after pest control. As they were leaving, Natsu protested that he hadn't rampaged enough, while Juvia stalked Gray from behind. Suddenly, Happy spotted Locke in the distance. They greeted Locke, but he got scared seeing Lucy and ran away before she could thank him. Locke stopped to catch his breath and picked a flower, which turned to ash, leaving him in despair. Since they finished their job quickly, Lucy suggested they relax at a spa. They went to Hosenka Village, the most popular spa town in Magnolia. Lucy was wondering what was wrong with Locke when Erza appeared behind her in armor. That night, Natsu started a pillow fight, with Erza joining in and Juvia secretly helping Gray by providing him pillows. Lucy was ready to join but got knocked down by 3 rock-like pillows. Lucy took a walk with her weakest celestial spirit and caught Happy teasing her by dubbing the spirit's voice. She told Happy she was walking because she wouldn't survive the pillow fight. Suddenly, 2 guys started teasing Lucy, mistaking her for being alone. Lucy asked Happy for help, but he teased her further. The guys, who were wizards, cast a spell on her, immobilizing her. Suddenly, Lok appeared, knocking one guy down and kicking the other out. Lok hid behind bamboos but came out when Lucy called him. He explained he was on a job to catch wizards who attacked women traveling alone. Lok was leaving when Lucy asked him out to eat. He sat far from her, so she moved closer and asked if the celestial spirits did anything to him. Lok didn't answer at first but then apologized and told Lucy to forget about him. He suddenly became tense, remembering his past. Lucy asked him to tell her more, but the chef interrupted, asking Lucy to play some emotional songs. She refused, disappointing the chef. As Lucy was leaving, Lok held her hand and hugged her tightly, telling her he didn't have long to live. He laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Lucy slapped him hard and left. Natsu and Gray were still fighting after nearly killing each other during the pillow fight, shocking Elfman and Mira. They asked Lucy to decide who won, but she made such a scary face that it frightened them. Lucy was sad about Lok's joke, and Lok watched her from a distance. Suddenly, several women arrived at Mira's, asking for Lok and calling him terrible. Lok had broken up with everyone suddenly. Mira asked Lucy for help, but she ran away. Lok followed Lucy when she came out of the public bathhouse. He brought some energy drinks, and they started enjoying them. Lok started his sad philosophy, but Lucy stopped him, thinking it was one of his jokes. Lok felt sad and left. At home, Lucy summoned an old celestial spirit to find out which celestial wizard Lok was involved with in the past. The Grandpa Crux fell asleep, and Lucy mistook it for him searching through records. Suddenly, Crux woke up and revealed the name, Karen Lilica, before falling asleep again. Karen was a famous wizard who was already dead. Lucy realized Lok wasn't lying. Suddenly, Gray appeared, sharing the bad news that Lok had left the Fairy Tale Guild. Everyone was looking for him but couldn't find him. Lok was at Karen's grave when Lucy appeared behind him. Lok revealed that he was a celestial spirit, Leo the Lion, and he was out of strength because he couldn't return to the celestial realm after breaking celestial rules and being exiled. He confessed that he was responsible for Karen's death. Lok began to tell Lucy about his past. Karen was surrounded by fans when she summoned her celestial spirit, Ares, who charmed the men around her. Karen left Ares alone, surrounded by admirers, to save herself. She threatened Ares to obey her orders and treated her spirits harshly, even using Ares as a shield on her recent job. When her master, Bob, confronted her about this, Karen punished Ares for supposedly putting ideas against her in his mind. Ares was innocent, but Karen didn't believe her and punished her anyway, imprisoning her in the human world for 7 days. Ares could do nothing but run when Leo the Lion, Lok's true identity, appeared to stop Karen from further torturing any spirits. Lok warned Karen, but she was persistent. She tried to send Leo back to the spirit realm but failed. Lok refused to leave until Karen ended her contract with Ares. Karen couldn't summon another spirit because she was weak, but she refused to end the contract. Lok left her room, and a few days later, Karen tried to reason with him, not wanting to let go of her 2 zodiac keys. Karen wanted to make more money using her celestial spirits. Even a month later, she refused to let go of Ares, lying that she wouldn't torment her anymore. Lok knew that if she regretted her actions, she would have ended the contract. Karen started beating the weakened Lok. A few days later, Lok had finally accustomed himself to the human world. He couldn't stop his life force from being drained, but he had stopped feeling the pain. 3 months later, Master Bob arrived and informed Lok about Karen's death during an impossible job. She had been jobless for over 3 months. Lok cried, never expecting Karen to meet such an end. He had hoped she would rethink her actions. Suddenly, Lok collapsed, fluctuating between realms. There was nothing Lucy could do to save him. As Lok counted his last breaths, Lucy refused to let him die. Defying the rules, Lucy begged the spirit gate to open. A huge light struck Lucy and Lok, tormenting her, but she refused to give up. Just as they were about to die, the light stopped and a vortex appeared. The celestial spirit king stood before them. He declared that Lok was indirectly responsible for Karen's death. Lucy argued with the king, but he insisted that rules were rules. She called the king names in desperation. Lok wanted to cease to exist, but suddenly, Lucy began glowing, summoning all her spirits at once. Lok was shocked by her power. Lucy fell but continued to reason with the king. Finally, the king reconsidered and made an exception, allowing Lok to re-enter the celestial realm. Before leaving, the king advised Lok to always protect Lucy, even with his life. Lok disappeared, now under Lucy's ownership. Natsu and Gray couldn't believe it when Lucy told them Lok was a celestial spirit. Lok took Lucy outside, and Natsu expressed his desire for a spirit of his own. As thanks, Lok booked an expensive hotel for Elza's team. Elza was already packed and ready to leave. Lok thanked Lucy again for helping him move on and return to the celestial realm to rest. As Lok left, Lucy reflected on life. Elza's team was ready to have the time of their lives. Elza's team is having a blast on their celestial-sponsored trip to Akane Resort, the swankiest and priciest tourist spot in the kingdom. They're running wild on the beach, with Lucy and Erza's melons bouncing around, catching everyone's eyes. Natsu is busy teasing Gray by snatching his pants, while the ever-pervy Juvia enjoys the scene from behind.
Stop it. Get some help.
In the evening, as Erza is napping peacefully, she's haunted by dreams of her traumatic childhood, involving a vicious dictator who tortured her. She wakes up in a sweat and heads to her room, re-equipping her armor to feel safe. Just then, Lucy barges in to invite her for a game night. Erza quickly re-equips into a glitzy dress, transforming into a proper lady. Natsu is throwing a tantrum, beating up the gaming machines for losing. Gray is playing cards when Juvia, wearing a stunning blue dress that matches her hair and eyes, approaches him with a huge fairy tale pendant on her neck. Natsu continues his tantrum until a square-faced guy stops him, giving him a tip: either live grandly or die like an insect. The guy then ties Natsu up with magic and points a gun at him. Gray, enjoying his drink with Juvia, learns that she is now a freelance wizard since Phantom Guild was disbanded. Gray gets the hint that Juvia wants to join Fairy Tail and is willing to do anything. Suddenly, another man approaches and attacks Gray. A loud explosion is heard, but Erza and Lucy think it's just fireworks, like everyone else. The man demands to know where Erza is, shocking Gray. Erza is on a winning streak when the dealer changes, revealing himself as Sho, who scares the wits out of her. Juvia jumps in to save Gray and tells him to find Erza as she's the one in danger. The man uses dark magic and is about to finish both Natsu and Gray when suddenly everyone around them vanishes, turning into cards by Sho. Lucy is also tied down by Miliana. Sho and Miliana were once Erza's friends until she betrayed them. Erza is nervous and confused when Blocky appears, greeting her. Erza recognizes him as Wally, and the man who attacked Gray is Simon. Lucy is confused by them calling Erza sister, and Erza reveals they used to be her friends. They are here to take Erza back home. Erza is knocked out by Wally, and Lucy threatens them about Natsu and Gray, but little does she know they have already been taken care of. Lucy is tied up tightly, and Miliana tells her she has 5 minutes before her body is completely turned backward. Wally hands Happy over to Miliana as a gift. Before leaving, Lucy hears them talking about the Tower of Heaven. Lucy rolls around and drops her keys, trying to call her celestial spirits but is unable to summon them. Suddenly, a needle pokes her. It's one of the men from the card, trying to help her by cutting the ropes. Lucy is confused but turns around to let him cut the ropes, but the man leaves her alone. She finds Gray knocked out, and as she touches him, he turns into ice and shatters, scaring Lucy. She tries to fix the shattered ice, but Juvia appears. Lucy mistakes her for an enemy, but Gray is with her. Juvia saved Gray at the right moment by absorbing him. Gray and Lucy see Natsu wake up with a loud roar, complaining about being shot in the mouth. Natsu runs off to find Blocky, knowing he has an amazing sense of smell. Jello, the master of the Tower of Heaven, is informed about Erza's capture and decides to sacrifice her for his dreams. Erza wakes up on a ship bound for the tower. She asks Sho to untie her, but he refuses. Erza is afraid of returning to the tower and tries to re-equip her armor, but can't. Sho hugs her, crying and yelling, asking why she betrayed him. Erza remembers their past when they were escaping from the tower together. The council is shocked to discover that the black magic cult, which plotted to construct the R system decades ago, is still operational. They believed they had destroyed all 7 towers, but to their surprise, an 8th tower exists. The investigation team sent to explore the 8th tower vanished without a trace. Seagrain, a council member, informs the council that the mastermind behind the Tower of Heaven is not the Black Cult, but his twin brother, Jello. Gray, Lucy, Juvia, and Natsu are on their way to rescue Erza, relying on Natsu's keen sense of smell despite his motion sickness. Gray is furious when Juvia suggests that someone as strong as Erza could be defeated. Suddenly, Natsu senses something wrong and becomes alert. Birds and fish drop dead from the sky and sea surface, and debris from the floor's military ship floats nearby. Juvia uses her water magic to camouflage their presence. Erza is shocked to see the Tower of Heaven completed. Sho informs her that the ceremony will take place tonight, revealing that she is the sacrifice. Erza remembers being separated from her friends when they were caught escaping the tower. Sho apologizes for his part in the escape plan. Erza warns him about the R system, which can revive the dead at the cost of many living sacrifices. Sho, influenced by black magic, believes Jello's plan to lead them to a new world. Erza takes the opportunity to knock Sho down and re-equips her armor to escape and stop the R system. Meanwhile, Happy wakes up to find himself being hugged tightly by Miliana. Wally lectures Miliana, and Happy asks about his friends. Guards inform Wally and Miliana that Erza has escaped. The council debates sending an army, but Seagreen calls them fools, suggesting instead the use of an Etherian blast from Satellite Square. The council is shocked, calling him insane for suggesting such a destructive spell that can obliterate an entire nation. They begin voting on using the Etherian blast. Natsu and the others move underwater with Juvia's magic. Each time Gray praises Juvia, she belittles Lucy, mistaking her as Gray's lover.
You must be some kind of a dumbass.
As they enter the tower, they are discovered by guards. Natsu and Gray are furious about their earlier defeat. Lucy summons Virgo, who beats up the guards, while Juvia also takes down many enemies. Jello invites Natsu and the others inside, wanting to play a game to pass time until the ceremony. Lucy is shocked to see Gray and the others eating casually as if they were at their grandma's house. Virgo dislikes Lucy's bathing suit and gives her a celestial realm suit. Just as the guards are about to attack, Erza appears and wipes them out. She is furious to see her team in the tower and orders them to leave. But they refuse, determined to uphold Fairy Tail's honor. Natsu runs off to find Happy. Erza, wanting to solve the problem herself, starts crying as she explains the tower's history and the black magic cult that created the R system with forced labor. She recalls how Jello saved her from being beaten to a pulp but was taken in her place. Erza's rebellion caused chaos, and Jello was turned completely evil after being tortured. Determined to end the madness, Erza prepares to face her past and stop Jello once and for all. Natsu is running around, yelling for Happy, who was locked inside a cat-themed room. Meanwhile, Erza was battling enemies from her past, rebels who had used black magic. She remembered how Jello had been tortured by these cultists. The torture was so severe that Jello lost his faith in God and was consumed by hatred. Suddenly, an entity named Zeref appeared before him. As Erza and her childhood friends were taking a break from the fight, ghost soldiers started attacking them, crushing their rebellious spirit. Erza was trapped under some debris, but an old man named Rob jumped in to save her with the last of his magic. Grandpa Rob, who had taught Erza the basics of magic, sacrificed himself to save her. Meanwhile, Zeref completely possessed Jello. This was the moment Erza unlocked her own magic and wiped out the new troop with one powerful blow. She raised her sword, inspiring the rebels. Erza then entered the room where Jello had been tortured and saved him, telling him about the freedom they had now gained. However, Milliane and Wally were watching a movie on a ship, unaware that Jello and Erza were still trapped inside the tower. Erza wanted Jello to come with them, but Jello, now consumed by Zeref, spoke of taking control of the tower. He claimed that there was no such thing as freedom. Zeref had taken over Jello's mind and planned to revive himself. Jello tortured the Black Magic Army, and when Erza tried to stop him, he knocked her down with his magic. Erza was shocked to see Jello using magic and was confused by his behavior. She started crying as Jello chanted black magic at her, telling her to leave the island and enjoy her temporary freedom but forbidding her to tell anyone about the tower. He threatened that if she ever set foot near the tower again, she would be the first to be killed. Erza was left with freedom at the cost of her friends' lives and was thrown onto a deserted island. Meanwhile, Sage was trying to convince others that the Etherian Blast was their last option. The other masters were worried about attacking Ka-Elm's territory without warning, fearing it might lead to a huge war. They needed one more vote to permit the Etherian Blast and one more sacrifice to resurrect Zeref. Gray might have heard about Zeref. Erza told Gray that the monsters of Lullaby and Deliora were all Zeref's demons. Erza didn't know much, but Sho had revealed that they were supposed to become the rulers of heaven when Zeref was revived. Jello had fed his friends false information about Erza, lying about her betrayal. Defeating Jello was the only way to save them. Gray was still thinking about what Erza had said about her vanishing from the world, whether she won or lost the battle. Suddenly, Sho appeared, asking Erza about the story she had just told her friends. Sho didn't believe Erza and accused her of blowing up their ship on the day of the rebellion. Gray and Lucy defended Erza, but Sho still couldn't believe it. Then, Simon appeared. Gray was about to attack him, but Juvia stopped him. Simon confirmed that Erza was telling the truth. Simon had always believed in Erza and had saved Gray by not attacking him at Akane Beach. Sho broke down when Erza offered her hand in sympathy and hugged him. They realized they needed to stop Natsu from causing more trouble. Natsu, dressed in a cat costume, was stuck, while Wally prepared his gun behind Natsu without letting him know. Gray didn't trust Simon, worried he might get them killed. But Simon overheard and reassured Gray, saying he believed in him as a wizard. Simon pointed out that if Gray could be killed easily, he wouldn't stand a chance against Jello. Simon also bet that Natsu wouldn't die, telling Gray and Lucy they didn't truly understand Natsu's strength. Meanwhile, the supposedly strong Natsu was trapped inside a cat head, unaware that Wally had a gun pointed at his face. As Wally fired, Milliane distracted him, causing the shot to miss and alerting Natsu. Milliane mistook Natsu for a kitten, prompting Natsu to play along and meow. Frustrated, Wally attacked Natsu with his block magic. Realizing Natsu was a person, Milliane tied him up with magic blocking ropes. Unable to use his magic, Natsu got beaten. Just as he was about to be shot, Happy attacked Wally, saving Natsu. Wally then tried to attack Happy, but Milliane stopped him from hurting the cat. Natsu boasted about his special attack, which turned out to be a dead cracker, but still useful. He widened his cat costume's eyes, trying to look cute in front of Milane. She fell for it and removed the magic blocking ropes, freeing Natsu, who then knocked them both out. Jello, sitting on his throne, ordered Videldis to unleash himself. Videldis revealed his true punk goth form, and two of his comrades from the Assassin's Guild Death's Head Order appeared, Fukuro the Owl and Captain Ikaruga. Happy tried to remove the cat head from Natsu, which ended up falling on Wally. Wally began revealing their plan just as Natsu was about to leave, having no reason to continue fighting. Suddenly, Jello's voice echoed throughout the tower, announcing the game of sacrifice. Jello, protected by the head order, set up a 3 versus 8 battle and informed them about the council's plan to use the Etherian Blast. Videldis was shocked by this news but was ready for the challenge. Sho trapped Erza in a card and started running. Wally, disappointed by Jello's game, felt better after Natsu told him about their guild's craziness and true freedom. Natsu then jumped up with Happy but stopped when he sensed something. It was Fukuro who knocked Natsu inside the tower. Simon suddenly appeared, and Happy mistook him for an enemy. Simon explained he was on their side and revealed that Seg was using the Etherian against Jello, his twin brother. Natsu misunderstood it as a brawl between brothers. Fukuro appeared behind Natsu and Happy. Simon used a dark spell to remove the light, but Fukuro could see in the darkness. Simon warned Natsu about Fukuro being a member of the Assassin's Guild, shocking Happy. Fukuro recognized Natsu as Salamander, infamous for his vile reputation among guilds. Ignoring Simon's warnings, Natsu, with his burning determination, charged up his fire and prepared to fight. Fukuro used his thrusters to throw Natsu around. Simon was the first to fall in the battle. Meanwhile, Lucy and Juvia were searching for Natsu. Juvia was helping only because Gray requested it. Suddenly, Videldis appeared with his guitar, playing an annoying tune. He attacked them with his hair. Lucy dodged, but Juvia stood still, using her water lock. Videldis absorbed the water into his hair, transforming Juvia into a goth girl, turning her against Lucy. Juvia, now completely reversed in personality, had been turned into a punk goth by Videldis. She was cursing Lucy and obeying Videldis's every command. Videldis wanted to see a catfight between the two, tearing each other's clothes apart. Juvia began attacking Lucy, ripping her clothes, while the perverted goth enjoyed the show. Lucy was getting beaten and tortured by Juvia, unable to do anything but surrender as she took whips of water on her back. Videldis encouraged them to fight like they were fighting over a guy. Suddenly, Juvia remembered that Lucy was her romantic rival and started beating her even harder. Lucy knew she couldn't defeat Juvia in combat, but then she heard the calm Juvia inside her water attack, remembering that Juvia loved fairy tale just like everyone else. Videldis ordered Juvia to finish things off, but Lucy stood up to fight. For a moment, Juvia returned to her real personality, but Videldis's orders overpowered her. Juvia attacked from the front, and instead of avoiding it, Lucy confronted the attack with Aquarius's key, summoning her. Aquarius, in a bad mood, created a giant tsunami that washed away both the enemy and Lucy. Videldis tried to absorb the water with his hair. Suddenly, Juvia and Lucy caught each other's hands and performed a unison raid, fusing their magic. Jello was shocked by this duo, and Videldis was knocked down, his hair falling off, revealing a shiny bald head. Juvia finally returned to her senses. As they celebrated their victory, Aquarius threatened Lucy to be careful about when she summons her, then left to spend time with her boyfriend. Juvia was moved by Lucy's sympathetic words, as it was the first time another girl had been kind to her. Lucy tried to rest for a while as the sun set, nearing the ceremony time. The use of the Etherian Blast was refused, with 5 votes against and 4 in favor. Seg still tried to convince the council to use it. The council was shocked when Seg revealed that Jello was trying to revive the dark wizard Zeref. Natsu and Fukuro were fighting on equal terms. Fukuro used his thrusters to attack Natsu, spinning him around. Knowing Natsu's weakness, Fukuro tried to swallow him after Natsu fell from the thruster. Meanwhile, Gray was searching for Erza and remembered his childhood when he first saw her at the Fairy Tale Guild. Natsu was completely swallowed by Fukuro, who started absorbing Natsu's powers and using fire attacks on Happy. Gray arrived just in time to save him. Simon regretted telling Sho the truth at the wrong time. Fukuro started digesting and absorbing Natsu's power. Gray decided to deal with Fukuro, but he struggled against him. He remembered his first conversation with Erza when she mocked him for being a pervert and walking around shirtless. Furious, Gray froze Fukuro's fire, mocking the bird for being an imposter. Fukuro tried to swallow Gray too, but he escaped. Gray remembered being beaten by Erza as a child. He had wanted to challenge Erza, but seeing her cry, changed his mind and joined her in crying. Gray overpowered Fukuro, who spat out Natsu and was knocked down. The council eventually approved the Etherian Blast, with only Yaj against it. Yaj went to Seg's office to make him reconsider, warning him to be ready to bear the loss of his brother's life. Simon was shocked to see how powerful Gray had become. Gray fell unconscious while Happy tried to wake up the weakened Natsu. The preparation of the Etherian blast had shocked the entire city. Lucy, exhausted, pretended to be unconscious when Wally and Milane appeared. Erza informed Seg that their 8-year-old plan was about to be completed, with Yaj overhearing from behind. Sho was on his way to fight Jello when Erza ordered him to release her. However, Sho was confronted by Ikaruga. Sho tried to attack, but Ikaruga overpowered him and knocked him down. Erza's card floated as Ikaruga attacked, but Erza blocked every attack from inside the card. With Ikaruga's assault and Erza's efforts, she broke free. Erza ordered Ikaruga to move, but Ikaruga shattered Erza's armor in the blink of an eye, shocking Erza. Getting serious, Erza re-equipped her strongest armor, but Ikaruga broke every sword Erza threw at her. Ikaruga shattered Erza's strong armor and then her Flame Empress armor. Ikaruga taunted Erza to equip her strongest armor, but Erza warned her she would regret her death wish. Erza re-equipped her Purgatory armor, her strongest, and attacked with her most powerful move. Ikaruga enjoyed the fight but eventually shattered the Purgatory armor too. Erza then switched to ordinary clothes, which Ikaruga took as mockery. Sho yelled at Erza to get another armor, but Erza remembered the people who cared for her and her childhood suffering. She decided to fight freely without armor. Erza, now free of hesitation, clashed swords with Ikaruga and knocked her down, standing victorious. Ikaruga admitted defeat and told Erza that both she and Jello had lost since the tower would be blasted by the Etherian in 15 minutes. Erza ordered Sho to evacuate everyone from the tower, including her team, while she settled things once and for all. Simon picked up Natsu and Happy helped Gray. Happy noticed the floor military running away after hearing about the Etherian blast. Natsu wasn't happy with Gray's victory since he lost in the first place and wanted a rematch with Fukuro. Simon stopped him from causing more trouble and received word from Wally about Lucy and the defeat of Trinity Raven. Wally and Milane were taking Lucy and Juvia out of the tower. With only Jello left to defeat, Erza was on her way to confront him, and Simon ordered Natsu to help her. Erza finally faced Jello after a long time. She wanted to keep Jello busy until the Etherian blast rained down, intending to die with him. Jello activated Zeref's power. Everyone except Natsu and Erza was escaping the tower in a boat. Gray wanted to join but was too beat up. They started yelling until Happy calmed everyone down, expressing faith in Natsu. Simon told Natsu that Erza couldn't defeat Jello, not due to lack of power or magic but because of her emotions. Jello, being cunning, would exploit Erza's emotions. Simon feared Erza would die with Jello in the Etherian blast. Fired up, Natsu asked Simon where Erza was. Jello began attacking Erza, but she cut down each of his attacks. He caught her off guard and trapped her inside a dark magic bubble. Remembering the faith Fairy Tail had in her, Erza cut through the bubble and landed a direct hit on Jello. Jello was shocked by how much Erza had changed over the last 8 years. This was not the same Erza he once knew. Erza questioned Jello about his true goal, knowing he wouldn't reveal it easily. She knew the R system wasn't complete and had done extensive research on it herself. While the tower seemed perfect, it was missing a vital component, magic energy. Erza found it suspicious that Jello hadn't escaped despite knowing about the impending Etherian blast. She pressed him for answers. Jello calmly reminded her of the time remaining until the blast. Then, the Jello she once knew spoke, revealing he had no control over his body as the ghost of Zeref had possessed it, using him as a puppet to create a new vessel. Erza was shocked by this confession. Jello recounted his past torment, stating no one had saved him. Meanwhile, the final phase of the Etherian blast was completed, and the satellite square deployed in the sky. The coordinates were locked, and the masters began their prayers. Happy and the others saw the light of Etherian. Jello's words melted Erza's heart as she remembered her childhood crush. The tower started rumbling. Erza put down her sword, sympathizing with Jello. They hugged as the Etherian blast was released. However, Jello had been playing Erza all along to keep her inside the tower. He smirked as the Etherian shattered the tower. The blast hit its target, and the Masters sighed with relief, thinking they had stopped Zeref's revival. The tower was completely frozen, with Erza and Jello still alive. Jello stood up and laughed, revealing his plan to gather magic energy inside lacrima crystals hidden under the tower's skin. Yaj questioned Seg, who then disappeared. Furious, Erza confronted Jello, who had fooled her. Seg appeared behind Erza, explaining that Jello couldn't hold such power alone. When Erza first saw Seg, she had attacked him, mistaking him for Jello. Seg had secretly approved everything Jello was doing from within the council. Seg and Jello were the same person from the start, with Seg being a projection and responsible for the Etherian attack. An enormous energy was detected inside the tower, causing the council's building to crumble. Erza was behind the destruction. Lucy and the others were shocked to see the true form of the R system. Erza, having used all her strength fighting Ikaruga, was pushed away by Jello. Erza sacrificed herself for Jello's goal. As Erza was about to attack Jello again, she was bound by a magic spell he placed on her during their hug. With enough energy, Jell could operate the R system, intending to sacrifice Erza and merge with her to create a new body for Zeref. Jell began the ritual to absorb Erza, but Natsu suddenly appeared and pulled her out. Natsu, worried about Lucy not being able to afford her rent if Erza was gone, made the mistake of telling Natsu she couldn't move. Natsu started tickling Erza, making her laugh uncontrollably. When Natsu stopped, Erza told him to escape, saying he didn't stand a chance against Jell. To her shock, Natsu punched her to knock her out, not wanting to see her cry or act weak. He then charged up his power and attacked Jell violently. Despite Natsu's strong attacks, they weren't enough to damage Jell. Jell mocked Natsu for being weak despite being a dragon slayer and Igneel's son. Jell got serious, moving fast to attack Natsu. Natsu tried to match Jell's speed but failed, getting beaten. Jell prepared to land a 7-star destruction spell, impressed that Natsu's body remained intact. Knowing he couldn't afford to damage the R system, Jell approached Erza, but overheard Natsu's plan to destroy the tower. Natsu, realizing Jell cared for the tower, began punching it, embracing Fairy Tail's specialty of destruction. Furious, Jell watched as Natsu started damaging the tower. Lucy and the others hoped for the best, putting their faith in Natsu and Erza. Natsu was more excited than ever to cause destruction, while Jell was furious and threatened to end him. Natsu didn't care and provoked Jell even more, making him attack. As Jell's attacks rained down, Natsu continued to destroy the tower, enjoying every moment. Erza woke up to see Natsu attacking the tower. Jell was livid, feeling that Natsu was ruining his 8 years of hard work. Jell launched a black magic attack at Natsu, but Erza stepped in to stop him, knowing that Jell needed a wizard's body comparable to one of the 10 saint wizards, though it no longer needed to be her. Natsu told Erza to move aside, but she refused. Just as she was about to be hit, Simon appeared and took the attack for her, leaving Erza in tears as he confessed his love with his dying breaths. Jell laughed at Simon's death, but Natsu retaliated with his strongest attack yet. He began eating the lacrima, firing a blue flame attack at Jell, though he choked on the lacrima. Despite the initial struggle, Natsu unleashed his true power by absorbing Etherian. Natsu started beating Jell, punching through floors and landing powerful blows. Jell tried to escape, but Natsu followed and continued the assault. Frustrated, Jell used Abyss Break, but the pain from Erza's earlier attacks gave Natsu an opening. Natsu landed a powerful attack that caused a minor quake and further destroyed the tower. Erza, shocked by Natsu's potential as a dragon slayer, initially thought the battle was over. However, Natsu collapsed, his scales disappearing, and Erza caught him. The tower began emitting bright light and immense energy as the Etherian became unstable. It started crumbling, with debris falling everywhere. Erza, carrying Natsu, saw Simon's body falling and narrowly escaped the shooting beams of energy. The tower's energy began deforming the lacrima. Erza, determined not to give up after all Natsu had done, remembered Jell's words and decided to merge with the lacrima to control Etherian's energy. Natsu woke up to see Erza merging with the lacrima. She told him there was no other way and began the process. Natsu, limping, tried to reach her, but Erza emphasized how important Natsu and their team were to her. Fully absorbed inside the lacrima, Erza stabilized the Etherian's energy. Natsu, crying hard, tried to smash the lacrima. Suddenly, a large beam fired towards the sky, causing a massive air wave. Erza, floating in the lacrima, recalled her life, including when her eye was healed by poor Lucica after hearing about Rob, one of their old friends. Erza, grateful for her healed eye, found peace as she remembered her journey. Erza's soul watched her funeral from above. Gray and everyone else were there, with Master Makarov giving the final speech. The Magical Council awarded Erza the title of Saint Wizard. But Natsu wasn't happy. He kicked flowers off her grave, shouting that Erza wasn't dead. Lucy started crying, telling Natsu to face reality, but Natsu kept insisting that Erza was alive. This wasn't the future Erza wanted to see. Suddenly, a hand reached out and she returned to life. Erza woke up to see Gray and others running toward her while Natsu picked her up in his arms. Erza was amazed that Natsu found her in the maelstrom of magic energy. Natsu told Erza he couldn't live without her and demanded she never put herself in danger again. Exhausted, Natsu slept for the next 3 days. When he woke up, Gray called him weird for eating Etherian, and Natsu fell asleep again, with Gray yelling at him to fight. Wally, Sho, and Miliana apologized to Erza, but she apologized to them instead for not being there for 8 years. Erza felt guilty for Simon's death, but Sho calmed her, saying it wasn't her fault. Erza asked them to join Fairy Tail, surprising them. She led Wally and the others into the guild. Erza heard Jell's voice, but it was just her imagination. She thought it might have been Jell who stopped the tower from exploding once he was free from Zeref's possession. Lucy wrote everything in a letter to her mother, describing Jell as another victim of Zeref. Suddenly, Erza entered Lucy's room, asking if she had seen Sho and the others. Lucy was confused because they had left without a word. Erza ordered Lucy to tell Natsu and Gray to prepare fireworks. Meanwhile, Sho and the others were on the beach with a boat. Sho refused to be a burden on his sister Erza anymore. Suddenly, Erza appeared behind them. Sho explained that they wanted to see the world and gain their freedom. They didn't know much about the world since they grew up in the tower. Erza re-equipped her armor and told them 3 rules to follow after leaving Fairy Tail. Don't reveal information that could harm Fairy Tail. Don't make unauthorized contact with past clients, and live life to the fullest even in despair, never forgetting their friends. Erza then ordered Natsu to start the Fairy Tail farewell ceremony. Natsu shot fireballs into the sky with his mouth, and Gray and Lucy created fireworks, bidding farewell to Sho and the others. Erza and her old friends cried while waving goodbye. The next day, they were shocked to see the guild finished rebuilding, complete with a new open-air cafe and merchandise stores. Max had studied business in 1 week and opened a merchandise store. Erza and her team were dumbfounded by the new guild. Max was also selling Lucy's figures.
Posable and her clothes come off.
Natsu didn't like the new look, preferring the old guild. Master Makarov greeted them with sarcastic comments. Gray and the others were happy to see Master with Juvia, who had joined the Fairy Tail Guild. Juvia still considered Lucy a romantic rival. But the biggest surprise was that Gadgil had also joined Fairy Tail along with Juvia. Gray and the others saw him sitting on a bench. Natsu and Gadgil started quarreling, but Master stopped them. Erza accepted Master's decision. As they talked, the lights went out and Mira appeared on stage, singing a calm song. In the calmness, Master started thinking about his retirement again. Natsu and the others enjoyed the song and clapped when it ended. The next singer shocked everyone. Gadgil, in a fancy suit, started singing. Everyone yelled and threw trash at him, but Gadgil ignored them and continued his song. The song ended in a fight between Gadgil and Natsu. Out of nowhere, Fairy Tail returned to its chaotic state. Gadgil was confronted by the Fairy Tail team he had beaten. Despite being attacked, Gadgil didn't retaliate. Suddenly, Laxus appeared and cursed Gadgil for picking a fight with the guild. Laxus landed a powerful blow on Gadgil. Even those who started the fight tried to stop Laxus, seeing that Gadgil didn't intend to fight. Laxus tried to attack his own wizards, but Gadgil stepped in to save them and left to do his work. Laxus also left, thinking this couldn't be the Fairy Tail he envisioned, clenching his teeth and planning to take over Fairy Tail soon. Lucy was worried about her monthly rent, so she sneaked into her apartment. As she took a bath, she played with her snowman Celestial Spirit. When she tried to sleep, she noticed a familiar scarf in her bed. As she pulled it out, Natsu and Happy fell out of the bed, greeting her with one eye closed. Natsu ignored her and went back to sleep, while Happy, acting as Natsu's right hand, asked for the scarf back because Igneel had given it to Natsu. Natsu wasn't feeling well due to the Etherian side effects. This had happened before when a weakened Natsu challenged Laxus and was defeated instantly. Happy started talking about the strong Fairy Tail wizards, shocking Lucy with Mira's nickname, She-Devil. As Lucy was throwing out Happy, she noticed a poster in his bag. Happy intended to give it to her since she was struggling with rent. The poster advertised the Magnolia Harvest Festival, including a Miss Fairy Tail contest with a prize of 500,000 jewels, enough to pay her rent for 7 months. Mira and Kana were also joining, which demotivated Lucy a bit, but her mind filled with thoughts on how to look more charming with her youthful body. Enthusiastically, she stood on the bed, not realizing her weight was pushing Natsu's soul out of his body. In the nearby town of Shiritsum, the Ghoul Spirit Dark Guild was attacked by the Thunder Legion, members of Fairy Tail and Laxus's personal bodyguards. Laxus was waiting for their arrival, planning to turn the guild upside down. Meanwhile, the town was being decorated for the festival, and the perverted shorty Master Makarov was buying groceries with Mira. They walked down the street, talking about the Harvest Festival. Mira mentioned Laxus's return, but Makarov wasn't happy, reminiscing about when Laxus was a loving child and grandson. Natsu hadn't recovered from the side effects, worrying Lucy and Juvia, while Gray thought he would recover on his own, sticking to the bro code. They were greeted by Warren, who had returned from a job. Warren was a master of telepathy. Suddenly, Lucy remembered the Miss Fairy Tail contest and ran to participate. Juvia also decided to join out of jealousy. Lucy was shocked by her competition. Kana, Juvia, and Mira had all entered the contest, and the most surprising participant was Erza. During her performance, Mira joked around by changing her face, shocking everyone. Erza made a flashy entrance, re-equipping in a goth lowly outfit, and stole everyone's hearts. Erza was very popular, including with Levy and the sexy sniper Biska Mulan. Lucy's performance was interrupted by Evergreen, one of Laxus's bodyguards. Elfman and Makarov were shocked by her return. Gray warned Lucy not to look into Evergreen's eyes, but Lucy had already made the mistake and turned to stone. The cowardly audience ran away, and Makarov confronted Evergreen for ruining the contest. Evergreen turned all the contestants into stone. Freed and Bixlow also appeared, with Laxus showing up. Laxus challenged Makarov, taking Lucy and the others as hostages. He threatened to break them if they disobeyed. Laxus wanted a ranking contest, a battle of fairy tale. Natsu was ready for a fight but was beaten by Laxus with one blow. To turn the stone girls back to normal, they had to defeat Laxus and his bodyguards within 3 hours. The entire Magnolia was their battleground. Makarov, furious, turned into a giant, but Laxus wasn't an idiot and ran away. Makarov was trapped inside the guild by Freed's enchantment. Gray decided to fight them all by himself. Makarov thought Erza could beat Laxus, but she was stoned. Makarov found Rietis hiding inside the guild and ordered him to inform Porlusica and ask for a remedy for petrification. Natsu woke up yelling and went to Makarov. Makarov believed Natsu could defeat Laxus if he got serious. He ordered Natsu to go and defeat Laxus, but Natsu was also trapped by Freed's enchantment. Olzak was trying to find Biska when they were trapped by Freed's enchantment, which forced them to fight each other, with only the strongest wizard allowed to leave. Olzak had no choice but to fight to save Biska. Jet, Droy, and Olzak fought each other, with Olzak emerging victorious. The townspeople were talking about the fairy tale members fighting each other when suddenly, one of the members crashed into them. Luckily, no one was hurt. It was Vigier, whom the townspeople cursed for disturbing them. He realized that the enchantment rules only applied to wizards. Another member, bound by the enchantment, arrived and tried to kick Vigier so he could move forward toward Laxus. The town was in chaos with fairy tale members causing havoc all over the city. The battle between Macau and Wakaba began, with each throwing taunts at the other. There were enchantment traps all over the city, forcing anyone who got caught in them to fight. Natsu, still suffering from the Etherian side effects, wanted to join the fight since it was a tournament of the strongest. Master Makarov hit Natsu on the head for wanting to fight his friends, stating it wasn't a real tournament but just a bunch of friends fighting because Laxus egged them on. The wizards didn't fully grasp the situation. Everyone was fighting to save the girls from turning into sand. Natsu thought Laxus was bluffing about turning his guild members into sand because Laxus himself was a fairy tale member. The barrier only affected those older than 8, yet Natsu couldn't pass through it. Makarov thought Natsu was naive for considering Laxus his comrade, knowing how low Laxus could go to get what he wanted. 42 minutes had passed, and Macau and Wakaba were still fighting. Rietis was trying to reach Porlusica when he was stopped by another enchantment. Freed appeared behind Rietis, telling him to prove his strength. Gray was fighting Bixlow, while Elfman was getting beaten by Evergreen because he couldn't look in her eyes or fight with his eyes closed. Having no other choice, Elfman turned into his beast form. He tried to locate Evergreen with his sense of smell, but she poured fairy dust all over him, knocking him down with her next attack and turning him into stone. Freed was about to catch Rietis when Lucy appeared behind him, challenging him. Freed realized it was a decoy to help Rietis escape. He caught Rietis, who begged him not to hurt anyone else. Natsu still thought Laxus was bluffing when Laxus's projection appeared behind him. Laxus asked Makarov to surrender since no one could beat the Thunder Legion except Erza and Natsu, who were trapped inside the barrier. Happy jumped in to support Makarov, calling Gray equal to Natsu, which infuriated Natsu. Laxus dismissed Gray as a wizard, calling him a runt and Makarov an idiot for hoping Gray would win. Makarov screamed at Laxus, telling him not to underestimate Gray. Gray was trying to dodge Bixlow's drone attacks when he froze one of the drones and pinned down Bixlow. Bixlow, using his satyr magic, could possess dolls with spirits. If Gray froze these puppets, Bixlow would simply change the vessel. Gray tried to freeze Bixlow, but he ran away, trapping Gray inside one of Freed's enchantments that forbade magic use. Bixlow used his puppets for ranged attacks, but Gray was one step ahead. However, Gray saw that Bixlow's attack would hit a little girl in a building if he didn't stop it. Gray took the attack on himself, managing to land a punch on Bixlow before being knocked down. Laxus laughed at Makarov when Gray was knocked down. Happy thought about Gagiel, but he wasn't participating in the tournament. Makarov told Laxus he surrendered, but Laxus wanted the title of Fairy Tales Guild Master. Makarov had an hour and a half left to announce Laxus as the new master or the statues would turn into sand. Makarov didn't want to hand over the guild to Laxus, who lacked principle and heart. Suddenly, Gagiel appeared, eating iron dishes behind the reception desk. Makarov asked Gagiel to fight Laxus and his team. Gagiel confidently walked to the exit but was also struck by the enchantment, unable to leave the building just like Natsu. Evergreen and Bixlow were taking down wizards when Olzak ran into Freed. Olzak was knocked down by another of Freed's enchantments, which sapped oxygen from anyone using magic. Only 2 were left in the battle. Stupid Natsu decided to free Erza. Makarov was shocked, thinking Natsu had a trick up his sleeve. But Natsu tried to melt the stone to free Erza. As he put his fire near Erza, she started cracking and suddenly freed herself, beating Natsu for using fire on her. Erza thought she was freed because of her left eye and could hear everything despite being petrified. With Erza revived, the number of participants rose by 1. but suddenly another joined. Natsu and Makarov were shocked to see Mistogen enter the city, another candidate for Fairy Tail's most powerful member. Laxus received news of Mistogen's arrival through his enchantment. Elza headed out, and the townspeople started complaining about the chaos caused by her comrades. Suddenly, Evergreen attacked Elza, challenging her to a battle. Elza attacked Evergreen, but she kept dodging. As Elza moved forward, Evergreen tried to petrify her but failed because Elza had her real eye closed and her artificial eye open. Evergreen ran away, shooting light beams at Elza. As the number of attacks increased, Elza deflected them, finally resorting to using 4 swords carried in both her hands and legs. She pinned Evergreen to a pillar with her swords. Elza tried to reason with Evergreen, offering to let her go if she turned the petrified members back to normal. However, Evergreen threatened to destroy the petrified members using another remote-controlled ability. Instead of kneeling, Elza re-equipped her sword princess armor, terrifying Evergreen. Elza punched her in the face, revealing that Evergreen was bluffing. With Evergreen defeated, all the petrified girls returned to normal. Laxus was enraged by Evergreen's failure. Suddenly, Freed appeared behind Laxus, asking to let him or Bixlow go. Laxus didn't summon Freed and demanded to know why he left his position. Freed replied that the game was over since the hostages were free. Laxus scared Freed with an attack, telling him to leave. Everyone was unhappy with Laxus except Natsu, who wanted to fight but had no opponent. Juvia and Gadgil watched the fight, with Juvia asking Gadgil if Fairy Tail was a fun guild. Suddenly, the enchantment letters turned into skull shapes, and Laxus began speaking through them. He announced that he had activated Thunder Palace to continue the battle. Master Makarov yelled at Laxus but suddenly had a heart attack. Mira arrived and pointed out the floating lightning lacrima in the sky over the city. Diska, fed up with the situation, shot at one of the lacrima but was nearly fried and knocked out by the resulting lightning shock. The lacrima were covered in a spell. Lucy and the others went outside to evacuate the townspeople, who were scared by this new fairy tale chaos. Freed tried to remind Laxus that he was going too far, but Laxus was determined to wipe out the enemy. Natsu, having had enough of Laxus's actions, started hitting the barrier. Levi stepped in to help Natsu with the enchantment since she was also a script wizard. While Levi read and decoded the script from multiple books, Natsu kept hitting the barrier. Freed tried to stop Laxus but was yelled at. With no other choice, Freed followed orders. Evergreen tricked Elza by giving her the address of the men's bathhouse, lying about Laxus's location, leaving Elza embarrassed. The fairy tale girls searched for Laxus. Suddenly, Lucy was attacked by Bixlow, but Happy saved her just in time. Bixlow began attacking Lucy, mentioning he had heard stories about the newbie. Lucy summoned Sagittarius, who quickly shot down Bixlow's puppets. Bixlow then attacked Sagittarius when he let his guard down, causing him to return to the celestial world. Bixlow used his dolls to snatch Lucy's keys and attack her, but Leo the Lion, also known as Lok, jumped in to save her. Lok, who could pass through the celestial gate freely, was recognized by Bixlow, who could see people's souls. Lucy and Lok fought together, with Lok taking care of the dolls and telling Lucy to go after Bixlow. Lok took care of the dolls while Lucy used her whip to attack Bixlow. Lok hinted to Lucy to use brute force because Bixlow wasn't very strong. Bixlow yelled at Lok for revealing his weakness. With no other choice, Bixlow decided to use his trump card, removing his helmet. Happy warned them not to look into Bixlow's eyes, as every Thunder Legion member had secondary magic in their eyes. One look, and they would turn into his puppets. Lok and Lucy couldn't defend themselves with their eyes closed. Lok told Lucy to close his gate and use Horologium for defense. Lucy refused because her keys were stolen and she believed in Lok. This made Lok happy to fight for her. He told Lucy to attack Bixlow on his signal. Lok began to shine brightly, making Bixlow close his eyes. Lok signaled, and Lucy tied Bixlow with her whip. Bixlow underestimated Lok, thinking he was still weak, but Lok had regained his powers. Lok landed a direct hit on Bixlow, sending him flying. Lok handed Lucy her stolen keys while she rested. Natsu was proud of Lucy's victory, while Gadgil couldn't believe she won. Levi got an idea from Natsu and Gadgil's quarrel and found the decode, telling them to get ready for the fight. Elfman woke up to see Mira in front of him. Mira apologized for being useless during the Phantom Raid and now too. Mira started crying while Kana and Juvia searched for Laxus, but they were confronted by Freed, who trapped them in his enchantment. Kana challenged Freed, but he would face the winner who came out of the enchanted area. Kana tried to provoke Freed, but he remained calm, calling Juvia a phantom tramp. Juvia knocked herself out using Lacrima, not wanting to hurt her friend. She wanted to be accepted as a member of Fairy Tail. Kana cried for Juvia, and Fried was shocked by her sacrifice. Levi warned Natsu and Gadgil not to fight together, or they might get trapped in an enchantment. Gadgil contacted Master Ivan, who told him to build trust since their punishment for Fairy Tail was a long way off. Mira was helping Elfman when she saw Kana fighting Fried. Fried put an enchantment on Kana, knocking her out from pain. Fried saw Mira and Elfman, telling Elfman he couldn't rejoin the game since Evergreen had already defeated him. Elfman tried to attack Laxus but ended up trapped in an enchantment that tormented those who tried to fight again. Elfman suffered while Fried increased the torment. Mira remembered Lysana's death and couldn't let another family member die. She unleashed her enormous magic energy, shocking even Fried. Mira transformed into her beast form and started attacking Fried. Fried fled and dodged her attacks, but Mira was too powerful. She was known as the She-Devil of Fairy Tail. Fried, scared, used his takeover magic, but Mira was still too strong. He had heard stories about She-Devil Mira but never imagined her power. Fried attacked Mira at point-blank range, but she was unharmed and retaliated with a headbutt, followed by a powerful attack that shook the city. Everyone in the city saw the huge explosion. Mira was about to end Fried's life when Lysana's face appeared in her mind. Mira returned to her old self, sparing Fried because she still considered him a comrade. Laxus yelled at her, insisting only he was her comrade. Mira told him that the guild couldn't depend on a single individual and explained the truth about life. Fried, crying, admitted he never wanted to do such things. Both Fried and Mira lost the will to fight, leaving Laxus as the only one standing in the Battle of Fairy Tail. Lucy saw the enchantment that announced Mira and Fried's fight. She wanted to see Mira, but she couldn't. Happy reminded her that the Thunder Legion was defeated, leaving Laxus all alone. The Thunder Palace also bothered Lucy, and they didn't have enough time to evacuate the citizens because of the heavy traffic from the Harvest Festival. Lucy hadn't recovered her magic yet and felt dizzy. Natsu and Erza were looking for Laxus. Levi was thinking about Mistogen when poor Yusika entered the guild and asked about Makarov. Levi told her Makarov was resting in the infirmary. Without hesitation, poor Yusika walked towards the infirmary, asking Levi to bring Laxus to Makarov because Makarov didn't have much time left. Poor Yusika was crying as she spoke. Laxus sat on the stairs, waiting for his opponent and remembering his past when everyone respected him only because he was Makarov's grandson. He was furious because Makarov had kicked out his father, Ivan, who had harmed the guild. Laxus threatened to leave the guild and join his father's guild. Makarov, worried about Ivan's dangerous information, suddenly softened and asked Laxus if he knew where his father was. Laxus promised to surpass Makarov to prove his worth. Laxus checked the timer, wondering if his grandfather would surrender or be stubborn as ever. Mistogen appeared behind Laxus, thinking Laxus was a fool for underestimating Erza. Without wasting time, Mistogen attacked, but Laxus countered. The explosion caught Natsu and Erza's attention, and they headed towards Cardia Cathedral. Mistogen was surprised that Laxus could use the same spell as him. Mistogen got serious and blew up the entire church, sending Laxus into the sky. Even Laxus was scared by Mistogen's illusion but managed to break through it. Laxus mocked Mistogen for thinking he could win with mere illusions. They fought on equal terms until Natsu and Erza arrived. Mistogen was distracted by Erza, and Laxus took the opportunity to destroy Mistogen's mask, revealing Jelal behind it. Erza and Natsu were shocked, but Mistogen insisted he wasn't Jelal. Erza was off guard when Laxus hit her. Natsu yelled at Laxus, who mocked Natsu for being weak. Natsu tried to attack, but Laxus dodged and started punching him while holding his hand. Erza re-equipped her armor and joined the fight, ordering Natsu to destroy all the Thunder Lacrimas, but Natsu didn't want to be taken out. Erza re-equipped into her Thunder Empress armor, which made Laxus mock her for thinking she could win with thunder against him. Erza tried a thunder attack, which Laxus dodged, and then absorbed his counterattack with her spear. Natsu insisted he wanted to fight Laxus, and Erza trusted him and went to destroy the lightning lacrimas. Laxus mocked her for there being too many to destroy in too little time. But Erza decided to destroy them all simultaneously. Even Laxus was shocked by her determination. Natsu and Laxus continued their fight. Erza re-equipped into her Sword Empress armor. Lucy and Happy felt Elza's voice asking for their strength. Gray woke up to Elza's voice and saw the lightning lacrimas in the sky. They needed Warren's power to reach everyone with her message. Natsu was being pushed by Laxus, who complained about the guild being spineless. Happy and Lucy searched for their comrades while Gray looked for Warren. Laxus panicked, thinking the master didn't care about the city. Natsu stood up again, mocking the flustered Laxus, telling him he would gain nothing from destroying the city and that it was too late to turn back. Natsu assured him not to worry because Erza would handle it. Erza, completely exhausted, summoned every blade in her arsenal. the lacrimas started shining brightly. Gray ran around frantically, searching for Warren. Erza had summoned 200 swords but fell to her knees due to low magic. Natsu and Laxus continued their intense fight while Erza needed 100 more swords. Suddenly, Erza heard Warren's voice. Warren was communicating with all the guild members, ordering them to destroy the lacrimas. The guild members were relieved to find that the petrified girls were safe, but they started bickering over telepathy. Gray, fed up, yelled at them through Warren, but they yelled back. Lucy jumped in to stop the arguing, reminding them what it meant to be a fairy tale member. They needed to work together to save their guild and town. The members stopped bickering and began working together to destroy the lacrimas. Lucy and Happy rushed to destroy the lacrima. Mira and Elfman transformed with their takeover magic. Their simultaneous attacks destroyed every lacrima. Everyone was shocked by the aftermath. The fairy tale members had turned into crisps. Natsu asked Laxus what he thought needed to be changed. Suddenly, Laxus, enraged, unleashed his immense power. Levi was trying to find Laxus to inform him about Makarov's condition. Laxus took Natsu's punch to the head, determined to deal with every fairy tale member himself, starting with Natsu. Natsu got a good beating but admitted Laxus's strength. Laxus landed a powerful blow on Natsu. As the smoke cleared, Natsu had vanished. Laxus thought Natsu had turned to ash when suddenly Gadgil appeared, asking if Natsu was his comrade. Gadgil had stepped in at the last moment to save Natsu. Gadgil dropped Natsu and prepared to face Laxus. Natsu told Gadgil to stay away, insisting he would handle Laxus alone. But Gadgil had a personal score to settle with Laxus and admitted Laxus was a true monster. They needed to fight together, but Natsu didn't want to team up. Gadgil told Natsu to take a good look at Laxus, who was completely drunk with power. Gadgil declared Laxus was not a comrade but an enemy. They were the only ones standing since the Thunder Palace had immobilized everyone else. Gadgil and Natsu started throwing punches at Laxus. Laxus continued defending, but even the strongest can fall when the numbers are against them. Gadgil and Natsu's combined attacks were strong. Yet, Laxus didn't go down easily. He buffed his body, revealing his Dragon Slayer's thunder roar. Both Gadgil and Natsu fell to the ground. Laxus was surprised to see both of them still alive. Laxus began chanting Fairy Law, trying to finish Natsu and Gadgil for good. Suddenly, Levi appeared out of nowhere to inform him about Makarov's condition. Laxus snapped back to his senses but then started laughing, thinking Fairy Tale would finally be his. Natsu became furious. The light from Fairy Law shined all over the city. Natsu, Gadgil, and Levi were still alive, shocking Laxus beyond belief. Suddenly, Fried appeared, beaten but defiant, explaining that not a single guild member had been taken out by Fairy Law. The spell was a waste because of Laxus's heart. Fried told Laxus that Fairy Law only damages those the caster considers enemies, revealing what was truly in Laxus's heart. Laxus unleashed his Dragon Slayer aura, but Natsu had enough. He confronted Laxus, declaring that Fairy Tale is like a family. Laxus, once again consumed by power, clashed fists with Natsu, and their battle continued in the sky. They exchanged blows, with Laxus overpowering and beating Natsu. Laxus landed another attack, but Natsu stood up again, provoking Laxus to unleash an even more powerful attack. Gadgil acted as a lightning rod, taking the hit for Natsu. Furious, Natsu landed multiple punches on Laxus, using magic strong enough to shatter dragon scales and frighten them to their core, the Dragon Slayer secret arts. Natsu defeated Laxus, shocking everyone, and roared in triumph. Fried, Levi, and others were shocked at Gadgil's defeat. Grandini had come to meet the dragon Igneal, despite being forbidden to interfere or visit dragons. She told Igneal about Natsu being too reckless, fearing he could die if his luck ran out. Igneal became furious, telling Grandini not to interfere with humans. In the town, people discussed the festival being postponed because of the master's condition while poor Lucica walked through the crowd. They wondered who the next master would be, thinking Laxus would take over. Thanks to poor Lucica, Makarov survived. The guild was happy to see their master survive death. Makarov ordered Mira and the guild to get the Fantasia parade going. Both Natsu and Gadgil were covered in bandages due to their recklessness. Gray wasn't worried now since they couldn't cause any more trouble. Natsu tried to say something, but his mouth was covered with bandages. Gadgil blamed Natsu for their condition, but Natsu was ready to settle things, scaring Gadgil. Suddenly, Laxus showed up at the guild, also covered in bandages, asking about Makarov. The whole guild stood up to him for causing so much trouble. They protested against Laxus, but Erza let him in to see his grandfather. Natsu jumped in front of Laxus, yelling something incomprehensible. Gadgil walked towards Lucy, who asked him to translate what Natsu was saying. Natsu uttered that he couldn't accept winning 2 against 1 and that he wouldn't lose next time, challenging Laxus to a future fight. Gadgil agreed, not considering this victory since Laxus was a true monster. Ignoring Natsu, Laxus went to the infirmary, waving his hand. Laxus stood in the corner of Makarov's bed. Makarov told Laxus to look him in the eyes while he spoke. He explained that the guild was a gathering place for friends, not something to own. What Laxus did was unforgivable. Laxus just wanted to make the guild stronger, but Makarov said life is about more than just strength. Makarov kicked Laxus out of the guild. Laxus thanked Makarov while Makarov was in tears. Bixlow and Evergreen wanted to leave with Laxus, but he stopped them. Laxus bid farewell to the Thunder Legion and went his way. Meanwhile, Ultir was alive and talking to her master. For 8 years, Zeref thought he was manipulating Ultir, but she was the one pretending to be the ghost of Zeref. One of the keys to lift Zeref's seal was now in Hades' possession. The Fantasia parade began, and Laxus enjoyed the show from the shadows. Levy, Lucy, and Biska performed their acts. Gray and Juvia also performed their best acts together. Natsu walked in the parade, firing flames into the sky. Gadgil didn't participate because he didn't like it. He handed over a piece of paper from Master Ivan, Makarov's son. Gadgil was playing a double role, and Makarov wouldn't let Ivan do what he wanted. Laxus smiled as Makarov performed in the parade. He remembered his childhood with his grandfather and got emotional when he realized that the symbol of the parade was also his symbol. The parade was a huge success. Lucy smiled, but Happy teased her, saying her face would wrinkle if she smiled that way. The town finally calmed down a week after the Fantasia parade ended. Everyone was still shocked that Makarov kicked Laxus out of the guild. Natsu, in particular, threw a big tantrum about it. He still had business to settle with Laxus, but Erza tried to calm him down, saying he needed to understand the situation. Happy then asked about Laxus being a demon slayer, which led Makarov to reveal Laxus's childhood. Everyone was shocked when Makarov denied that Laxus was a dragon slayer. Laxus had been a weak boy, and his father implanted a lacrima in him to give him dragon slayer magic. Happy was amazed that such a thing existed. Makarov wanted to step down as master, but Fried talked him out of it. The rest of the Thunder Legion also started to open up to other guild members. Evergreen modeled for Rietis's paintings, and Bixlow teased Lucy about her relationship with Loke, with Happy joining in the fun. Erza had been alone since the Harvest Festival ended and asked Makarov about Mistogen. He didn't know much about him either. Lucy, meanwhile, was dealing with more critical issues. Erza had won the Miss Fairy Tale contest, with Lucy coming in second and Juvia third. Lucy was crying over her rent money when Kana joined her, complaining about not having a boyfriend for a while. Kana, tipsy as always, announced that Lucy had never dated anyone. She reassured Lucy by saying her cards predicted a fateful encounter for her. Suddenly, Erza rushed out in a fancy dress, and Mira revealed that a reporter from Sorcerer Weekly was coming to the guild. Lucy thought this could be her fateful encounter and started imagining becoming famous. Gray, Natsu, and Happy joked about Lucy going crazy over her rent and financial issues. Using her celestial spirit, Lucy got ready and went to buy some books for hairstyle tips. She found a box she wanted but got flustered when another guy also wanted it. She rushed outside, and the same guy stopped her, asking if she lived in the same city. He was writing a novel and asked if she could help him explore the town. Clueless, Lucy walked away, forgetting to buy the magazine. Back at the guild, the reporter from Sorcerer Weekly, Jason, arrived and started taking photos of Erza. Lucy tried to get his attention but was ignored. Jason asked Erza about her armors and was amazed to learn she had over 100. He then interviewed Happy and looked at Lucy for a moment but focused on Gray instead. Natsu, unhappy with Jason's articles, threw a table, and Jason, loving the chaos, tried to interview him too. But Natsu, annoyed, punched Jason, which the reporter enjoyed even more. Desperate for attention, Lucy decided to do something embarrassing but got knocked out by Gadgil in a fancy suit, who started singing his ugly song. Natsu punched Gadgil, leading to a brawl that Jason eagerly photographed despite getting caught in the collateral damage. Later, Lucy saw the same guy from the bookstore again and showed him around town. Natsu and Happy then asked Lucy to join them for their next job, but she refused, saying she had a date the next day. Mira revealed that Natsu and Happy were looking for a job to help with her rent money. Feeling guilty, Lucy decided to pass on the date and join Natsu and Happy on the train, sending Kana in her place. The guy fell for Kana, who was totally his type. As they traveled, a little girl with blue hair carrying lots of stuff caught Lucy's eye, but she ignored it, ready for her next adventure with her comrades. On a rare rainy day in Magnolia, in a shady corner of the town, stood a mysterious magic potion shop. Juvia went inside, asking for something that would make Gray notice her. The shop owner didn't have anything that convenient but, upon Juvia's insistence, gave her a suspicious potion that would supposedly make Gray look at her with passion. Juvia bought the expensive potion for 60,000 jewels, not knowing that this purchase would eventually lead Fairy Tale to the brink of destruction. Meanwhile, Lucy was bored because Natsu was taking time off from doing jobs, and she didn't want to work with anyone else. Mira teased Lucy about being close to Natsu, suggesting they were sweethearts. Lucy dismissed it, saying Natsu was the dumbest idiot she'd ever seen. Natsu was dancing idiotically and Gray told him to stop and get to work. Erza, not missing a chance to show who's boss, scared Gray from behind, telling him to put on some clothes. Both Gray and Erza were confused by Natsu's silly movements. Lucy went home only to find that Natsu had broken into her apartment again. Mira's words about Natsu liking her made Lucy blush. Natsu wanted to tell Lucy something important, but she, being an idiot, kicked him out. The next day, Lucy kept ignoring Natsu. While Gray and Natsu were wrestling, Juvia tried to get the potion on Gray. Suddenly, the guild members started talking about Natsu having a crush on some girl. Lucy overheard them, her heart pounding and her face looking both shocked and dumbfounded. She started shivering, thinking about Natsu and imagining him as a handsome dude. Suddenly, Natsu appeared behind her, asking her to meet him at the Soul Tree in South Park because he wanted to tell her something. Juvia made a successful attempt to hit Gray with the potion, but it ended up hitting everyone else first, starting with Makarov and spreading to others. Finally, the potion hit Gray, making him walk towards Happy, who was calmly enjoying his fish. Gray, in a furious tone, told Happy not to think of himself as strong because Gray was the strongest. Confused, Happy listened as Gray challenged him. Wakaba and Makao started challenging each other. Makarov yelled at the alcohol, Erza yelled at the pillars, and Mira challenged Erza from behind. Gray took Happy to the top of the guild to challenge him to a flying contest. The evil potion seller had sold a mix of banned potions, not knowing the impact it would have. After getting the money, the owner fled the town. Lucy was still thinking about Natsu confessing his love to her. She made weird plans, dressed up nicely, then dismissed the idea. She even imagined having babies with Natsu. Meanwhile, the guild was in chaos. Elfman cried because he had no rival, and the Thunder Legion competed with Shadow Gear. Lucy, looking nice, went out to meet Natsu, trying hard not to think about him. Erza kept embedding swords into the wooden pillars of the guild, and Mira, furious, went for a makeover with Satan's soul. Gray, already fired up, was hit with another dose from Juvia, making him act like an energized Natsu. Lucy arrived at South Park, shivering and hoping not to do something stupid. Without wasting time, Natsu asked Lucy to summon Virgo and help him dig up an album of embarrassing photos that Makarov had hidden under the Soul Tree. Dumbfounded, Lucy asked if Natsu had a crush on someone. Furious and feeling foolish, she slapped him and ran away, looking like an idiot. Lucy's luck with men was consistently bad. The next day, everything in the guild returned to normal. Erza was confused about what had happened. Juvia woke up Gray, who was floating in the water, and shoved the whole bottle of potion into his mouth, making him furious. He started chasing the horizon, declaring it his enemy. Juvia's luck with Gray was as bad as Lucy's with men. Several days later, Mira joked with Lucy about Gray liking her. Gray, having reached a demon village, was confused about what had happened to him. The old chief told him it was the curse of the moon. If you enjoyed, let me know if you'll like me to continue this series. Make sure you are subscribed and I'm out.